Welcome to episode 200. Can you believe it? Of Ode to Games. My name is Logan Plant, and we've got an enormous show for you this week. Here to go through it all with me, Kevin Vallene. Happy 200, Kev.
I don't know how we've gotten to this point. It doesn't feel like 199 episodes have passed between that first one and now to get to 200.
Yeah. And Zach Rost is also here. Hello, Zach.
Hello. It doesn't feel real. Where did the time go? It's been nearly 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years.
That's a lot of years.
Sat down in my college apartment and recorded episode 1. And we're going to take a big look back at some of the stuff from those original episodes. We're doing a big ode to Old Ode Tos, as we're calling it. Yep. We're going to go through some of the Old Ode To segments, revise some, change some, talk about what's changed. We're also going to get into, it's one of the biggest shows we'll ever do, and one of the biggest stories we'll ever talk about happened this week as Xbox has announced a deal to buy Activision Blizzard for nearly $70 billion, an unfathomable amount of money. We're going to get into all that, but real quick first, Zach has some big personal gaming news to share with us this week.
The day after last week's show, Logan and I sat down at noon over the phone while we were waiting for a shipment of PS5s to go up at Walmart. They had announced this shipment going up a couple days prior, so we were ready to go. I needed a Walmart Plus account, so I got that all set up. Spent the $13 on the chance to get a PS5.
Dang.
As soon as they went up, I got put into a queue. It said queue time 9 minutes. The timer kept going down, which was a good sign. I got to 0 minutes. It took me to the PS5 page. I added it to my cart. I went to check out. It said error. I panicked, had a mini heart attack. I reloaded the page. Seemed fine. I checked out. Now I have a PS5 on the way. It's official.
Woo!
I don't have it in my hands.
Yeah,
it's not my apartment. Something could go wrong. It could get stolen by the UPS driver.
As long as the mailman doesn't steal it, I feel like you've pretty much gotten it.
Exactly. But as of right now, there's a good chance I'll have a PS5 in the next couple days. It's expected to be here Friday, January 21st. Mark your calendars.
Congratulations.
You did it.
Thank you.
That's tomorrow when this episode goes up. That's exciting.
It is.
Next week could be Zach's big first PS5 impressions for episode 201.
Oh, even though I've already played a good chunk of your PS5.
That's fair. You've played the entirety of Astro and Deathloop already. So what are you going to play first?
You know, I've been really feeling Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart recently.
Yeah?
I think I might. Nice. I don't know if I'll start with that, but I'm definitely going to get that soon. I also want to pick up Deathloop. Take the plunge. Even though Deathloop is no longer on sale, I missed that boat. The Uncharted Legacy Collection comes out soon, and I really have been wanting to replay Uncharted 4, and playing it on PS5 would be very, very cool. So I don't know what I'm going to play first, but I'm excited to just play anything on my PS5, really.
Yeah, you borrowed my copy of Spider-Man, so you can finally
Miles
play
Morales.
Miles Morales.
Yep. That's a pretty short one, too. That could be like a 1 to 2 sitting game.
Absolutely. Yeah. Kev, you got to get in on this. I know it's way harder over there.
He's really trying.
I try the lottery every month. I think it's just the reality of the fact that for every 100 that they ship over to the US, they probably ship about 0 to Japan. So
yeah. Nice. Well, hopefully it gets better.
It's a trial, just chipping away at it every month. And maybe one of these months I'll get lucky. I don't know.
It would be a sour taste if you blew $14 on the membership to try and get it. But it's way better than that Best Buy Total Tech.
$200.
Oh yeah,
crap.
Crazy.
You can't do a free trial or get your money back after you buy the PS5. Yeah. You're out the $200.
At that point, you just buy it from a scalper, right? Just
exactly, because
saves
it's
the trouble.
$700 anyways. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pay $800, which is a lot to us, but it's absolute crumbs to Xbox and Activision, who just made the biggest transaction in video game industry history as Xbox and Microsoft. Yeah, it's just behind the Disney acquiring Fox is very similar, and the Time Warner
like
one.
$50 billion.
Yeah, it's I don't remember. There's one that's slightly higher than this Activision one. That was like, I think the Time Warner one. But there's $68.7 billion for Xbox to acquire Activision, Blizzard, and King. And if you're asking yourself, well, what's King? Oh, well, they just make a little game called Candy Crush, which rakes in $2 billion every year. And of course, Activision, Blizzard, we're talking games like Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Overwatch, Diablo, and tons of other properties that will, once the deal is complete, as late as June of 2023, so about a year and a half away, will all fall under the Xbox and Microsoft umbrella. So there is so much to dig into here, not only because of the pure scope of this transaction, but also the baggage that Microsoft inherits in addition to these IPs and employees and studios. Of course, just a couple months ago, Phil Spencer from Microsoft said, we are reevaluating our relationship with Activision Blizzard. Well, they reevaluated it pretty seriously because now they're going to own them. So this is absolutely wild news. We're going to talk about a lot of angles of this here. But before we get into it, Kev, just your general reaction to Microsoft buying a studio for $70 billion.
I feel like we were talking about Bethesda just a little while ago, and the fact that $7 billion, that was a huge thing. That was a huge deal. Buying Bethesda for $7 billion and all of their IPs and everything, that was a huge deal. And the fact that they have made a deal more than 7 times that, one, is crazy, and two, just the timing of it all is even more wild. Just with everything going on at Activision Blizzard, and everything still going on. 99% of that stuff has not been resolved, and there are positives and negatives to take from this. You have Microsoft, I would assume, will have to go in there and change the culture. I can't imagine that they would keep people in place.
Bobby Kotick will be gone.
Yeah.
He will be gone the second this becomes official.
There's more to be done with Activision Blizzard than just removing him. There's a lot of rot in that company that needs to be removed. And you would assume that Microsoft is in a better position to do that than Activision was, and its top brass that's been there for so long. They wouldn't do anything to change that. But then on the other side, you got people saying, and rightly so, moving towards monopolies in the gaming industry. Of course, this doesn't make Xbox a de facto monopoly, but I wonder how this will set the stage for things moving forward. Because if you're Sony, or to a lesser extent if you're Nintendo, I feel like Nintendo's going to keep on rolling along, and then they're off doing their own thing. They'll pick up studios as they go along, but for Sony in particular, I feel like they're probably going to have to do something. I don't know what that is, but Activision Blizzard has such a huge library of games, both stuff that's being released right now, like Call of Duty, huge, but also even just lesser titles that they could pull out from the back catalog of all of the stuff that Activision has. You'd feel like Sony is going to have to respond somehow. And if we go down that line where they keep on trying to one-up each other, I wonder where we're going to get with third-party studios just being under umbrellas of the big corporation. So we'll have to see, but this is crazy news.
Yeah, Zach, your initial impressions. And by the way, congrats. You predicted a big acquisition would happen on our prediction show earlier this month.
That was my biggest takeaway, was that on our big prediction show last week, I believe it was, I just said Microsoft was acquisition hungry, and I was expecting something big. There was talks about Discord happening this year, but I had no idea that next week there would be a $70 billion acquisition. So I won't take credit for that, but that was a nice turnaround on one of my predictions that I could just get that out of the way. So that's great. Yeah, this is one of the biggest things that's ever happened in the gaming industry. Microsoft acquiring all of these titles really makes it like the go-to first-person shooter platform. It's now got Call of Duty, Halo, Overwatch, all of that stuff. Doom. Yep. Basically, all it's missing is Battlefield, which is a Call of Duty competitor, but of course it doesn't have nearly the brand recognition that Call of Duty does, and Destiny, which is still,
Apex.
Apex, which is EA. So there's some other stuff floating out there that might get scooped up by Sony, because like Kevin said, Sony has to respond. Because if Sony does nothing, then Microsoft is just going to keep making more and more money. So Sony has to respond in some way, probably by acquiring new third-party studios. And that rumored Game Pass competitor that they are working on might also be a good way to start combating the now growing empire that Microsoft is creating. So I don't know, but yeah, this is definitely huge, and this is something we're going to be, talking about and hearing about for the next year until the deal closes, and then eventually down the road we're going to be seeing ramifications of these Activision Blizzard games becoming Xbox exclusives. I don't know if things that have already been announced, like Overwatch 2 or any Call of Duties that are currently in the making, those have already been stated as coming to multi-platform, but things that haven't been announced, very likely just going to be Xbox exclusives down the road. So we'll see how that pans out, but I'm very excited that all of this stuff's probably coming to Game Pass as soon as this deal closes, which is exciting.
Of Call of Duty and Game Pass, I feel like that's a pretty big part of this in terms of the more casual gamers, because Call of Duty is such a huge game, both on Xbox and on PlayStation, but from numbers that were floating around, Call of Duty is the #1 selling game on PlayStation. Like it's like their biggest game, and it's not even theirs. And even if it stays multi-platform, where they bring it to PlayStation as well as to Xbox, if you tell just a casual gamer that plays Call of Duty, maybe a couple of sports games and one or two other things, if you tell them that instead of buying a PlayStation where they're going to have to drop $60 or $70 on this new game to play, that they can just buy Game Pass and then just have it there forever.
Yeah.
That is a big deal. And I feel like a lot of people just move to that. It'd be like way easier than just buying these new games. It'll just always be on there. And then you have more people moving over to Xbox instead of on PlayStation.
Yeah, it's I don't think it can be overstated how big of a piece of news this is. I see people like saying, oh, it's just like Bethesda. I think this is significantly larger than the Bethesda acquisition. And the price tag is all you need to see to know that. And you look at something like Call of Duty. Call of Duty is not only the best-selling game, like you're saying, it's a gateway to an entire console of games. Anecdotally, I know many people who have a PlayStation just for Call of Duty. That's how it started. And then they have PS Plus because they need it to play online. Then they get Spider-Man on PS Plus. They get The Last of Us on PS Plus. And all of a sudden, you have turned from a Call of Duty fan into a PlayStation fan. It is Call of Duty, 2K, FIFA, these sports games and shooters are the way that people start with games and then get deeper into them. Unless you're in the top 1% of enthusiasts like us that know and play everything. For the most part, people whose gaming is their number 2 or 3 hobby, those are the games they play to get into this ecosystem. So I think it's a huge deal that those are just going to be on Xbox now. And for the last generation, the PS4, Xbox One generation, Call of Duty specifically was practically a PlayStation exclusive because it had this timed DLC that was exclusive to that platform. And by the time it came to other platforms, people were already looking forward to the next Call of Duty the next year. So people were mostly playing on PlayStation. Now we're going to see that audience totally migrate over to Xbox. And that's just Call of Duty. That's not everything else that falls under this umbrella. And I actually have a different take than you guys. I don't think that Sony necessarily needs to respond. I don't think this was a move for Xbox to stomp PlayStation into the ground. Phil Spencer had a quote last year saying basically we don't view Sony and Nintendo as our competitors. We view Amazon and Google as our competitors. And our Xbox is this arm as Microsoft as a whole. Where yes, Sony does other things, but the Spider-Man movies, other movies, and PlayStation are really its big money makers. And then Nintendo is just Nintendo. So I think that this move, I don't know how much it's going to impact PlayStation in terms of we need to go buy Capcom, we need to go buy Sega or Square Enix. I think that their IP is recognizable and strong enough that people will continue to buy PlayStations. I think they're going to be fine personally. I think that this news is shattering for other reasons outside of how it impacts PlayStation, I guess.
Yeah, not necessarily that it's going to impact PlayStation, because I also think PlayStation is going to be fine, but I think that they might respond just to prove a point, maybe, because making a $70 billion acquisition seems like a statement to me.
Well, on the heels of the Bethesda deal, too.
Exactly.
I mean, say what you will about the price tags. I feel like both of these, obviously Bethesda's a lot smaller, but that's big news for both of them because they are.
Yeah.
It's a huge bunch of IPs that just move over to Xbox.
And a name we haven't even mentioned, World of Warcraft, is now going to be under Microsoft. Another just absolute cash cow that they have in their pocket now that could in some form come to Game Pass. This online MMO that's been subscription-based for 20 years that now could be included in some form on PC Game Pass or maybe even console Game Pass. There's so many things to unpack, and they're not going to be able to talk about any of these plans for a year and a half until this thing is actually finalized. So for now, all we can do is wonder. But another thing I want to talk about is I think that this forever pushes the industry into even more of a service direction than we were even already heading in. I think having Activision games and Blizzard games on Game Pass is further showing that Microsoft wants new content on Game Pass every single month, just like Netflix. In 2021, Netflix released a movie a week on its service, which is a ridiculous amount of content they're pumping out. And I think Xbox is trying to get to not quite that level. I don't think games will ever be produced quite at that level from one individual company, but maybe one big first-party exclusive a month on Game Pass to keep people subscribing. Oh, because next month will be Call of Duty. And the month after that will be Diablo. And the month after that will be Forza. And it will just never end because they have so many studios now between Bethesda, what they already had, and this new acquisition. I think that Game Pass, it just got a lot better. But with how much they're acquiring, I think it's not too long until the price jacks up and people don't really have a choice but to pay for it because of how much Xbox owns.
I mean, that's kind of the deal, right? That's, you know, we've been wondering since it came out, like when this is going to go up in price, because you have to get people in on that ground floor. That's why they had all of those deals where it's like 3 months for $1 or, you know, basically free. You get all of the people in, and then once they're all in and all of the games are there and that's how people play their games, then you can boost the prices up. Netflix has been doing that for a while. Every year or two, they're like, oh, we're going to...
They just did this week.
Yeah, we're going to...
They raised the prices this week.
We're going to raise the price by $1 or $2 on each of our subscription plans. And people stay subscribed because they are in that ecosystem. That is how they get their entertainment. And it's easier to just stay the course and just hang out there rather than to leave because of the price change and go somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And I feel like now Game Pass has gotten robust enough in terms of both its library and the user base that, yeah, I feel like that price is going to go up relatively soon, probably once this is all done and you have a bunch of Activision Blizzard games on there.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that in terms, if I'm Sony first-party games, every new one breaks the last one's record. I feel like every time they release a new big-budget AAA single-player game, it's like, blank is the fastest-selling PlayStation game in history. First, it was, besides like Spider-Man, it was like the unpassable one. But pretty much, like every new IP, it was Horizon. It was Ghost of Tsushima. Last of Us 2 sold extremely fast. I'm sure next month we're going to be sitting here talking about how fast Horizon 2 sold. So a take I've been seeing on Twitter is Sony doesn't try to compete as much with this arms race that I think is bad for the industry for a number of reasons, and instead just becomes kind of this boutique place for really high-quality cinematic exclusives. I don't think that's a bad place to be. You could have this arm of it is PlayStation, where you know you're getting these IP that they're growing all the time that people care about. You've got Nintendo, which also has their farm of IP, and it's kind of the family angle. And then you have Microsoft, which is turning into the catch-all of all the casual games, pretty much. Activision makes so many, like, Call of Duty is what I'm calling a casual game. People who play a ton of games usually don't play Call of Duty. They have Bethesda, which makes a bunch of hardcore RPGs, and they have all their own stuff. So I think it's actually in a pretty solid place. I don't think PlayStation should be that worried, but I do not like the mass consolidation we're seeing. I do not like the idea of these studios being locked into one place. I don't like the idea of everyone scooping other studios up in reactionary ways. An example I think of is Mercury Steam, who just made Metroid Dread for Nintendo. I love that game. Now they're doing their own thing, not with Nintendo. If Sony decides to buy them, Nintendo loses its Metroid studio. And that's bad for a number of reasons. And there's a lot of other examples of this. If Square Enix was only on Sony, they're probably turned into the cinematic Final Fantasy studio and less focus on the triangle strategies, the Bravely Defaults, the Octopath Travelers, these fun, smaller things that they work on from time to time. So I don't like the pattern of mass consolidation that the industry is heading in. And that's a reason that this news didn't sit right with me, is because I think it's just going to escalate.
Going back to... Zach, what do you have to say?
I was just going to say that this isn't something that Sony and Microsoft can just do. There's years of negotiation that goes into these kind of things, and the third-party studios have to want to sell. I think that Activision Blizzard was definitely in a bad place, and that heavily contributed to the fact of them wanting to get out of that situation.
They approached Xbox. That came out today. They approached Microsoft.
Even if Sony, say, wants to buy EA for $40 billion, EA makes a lot of money. They don't necessarily have to sell to Sony unless Sony buys way over the market cap, which they probably wouldn't do. So they might not even be able to make a huge response because there's not really a lot of studios that are strong-armed like Activision Blizzard has been over the last year.
Yeah. Going back to Sony as the boutique with these first-party games, is that what they want, though? Because, for an example, Logan, the big new game comes out, you play it, and then you go back to Xbox. And if that is a large majority of your player base, just having the PS5 sit and gather dust, and then when the new Sony game drops, then you're like, oh, sweet, go play that, and then swap back to your Xbox, that's bad for Sony. They don't get any of the money from third-party sales if people are buying all of those on Xbox or playing them on Game Pass, and it's probably a tougher sell if they're not selling as well on PlayStation. If everyone, I'm not saying that's going to happen right away, but maybe by the end of the generation, maybe that's something that we're talking about.
That's true, but Sony is also growing their PlayStation business specifically in other ways that's going to make them a ton of money. They have this partnership with HBO to make a Last of Us show. They have an Uncharted movie coming out in a month. They have a Ghost of Tsushima movie in the works. There's a lot of other things I think they're doing that are going to contribute to their business. But yeah, that is a fair point, that you're losing out a lot when you don't have Call of Duty. You're losing out on a lot from these franchises that are going elsewhere. I still think they're going to have Warzone, which is a microtransaction machine. I still think they're still going to have Apex Legends. But maybe they do turn to a more internal focus on multiplayer experiences. Naughty Dog is working on this Last of Us multiplayer project that's going to be like its own release, and maybe that turns into a huge thing. Maybe they bring back one of their own FPS franchises to just try and make a dent in the FPS juggernauts over on Xbox's side. Maybe Killzone comes back, for example, or something of that nature. But yeah, I don't know. If they keep selling their games at $70 and they sell 20 million and they put out 4 of these things a year that sell 15 to 20 million and they continue to sell $500 consoles, I think they're still going to be pretty profitable. It won't be comparable to what Microsoft's doing, but Sony as a company and Microsoft as a company already aren't very comparable.
They are very different. That's true.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's interesting, but I just don't like the consolidation in general. And I'm worried that it's just going to get worse. And we are going to have 3 umbrellas that just have everything, and Nintendo will just become like such a speck, still doing their own thing, while everybody else is under like. Yeah, we'll see. There are some good things I think that could come from this that I want to bring up before we move on, and that is, first of all, the culture side of things, which we touched on earlier. But Xbox, this is a big risk for Xbox because of the baggage they are taking on, and their reputation could be soiled if 3 years from now reports come out about how nothing has changed at Activision Blizzard after the Xbox acquisition has well and gone been complete. So it is really on them. They're in the public eye to make changes, and I believe they will. So I think out of all of this, ignoring the exclusive games and the new deals and all of that, I think the best thing that could come out is better working conditions for all involved at Activision Blizzard and King, because it's been a horrible year in the news cycle for them. It's been worse there for much longer than that year. And so I think there's probably some relief, but still some skepticism of being acquired by another multi-billion-dollar company instead.
Yeah, it could just shift to who's doing it. You know, you get a new group of people in, and it could be the same thing. And I also hope that it isn't like, oh, Microsoft is here, that means we're saved, and then Microsoft is just like, so you won't be needing those unions anymore. I think that video games very much need to move to that. Not just Activision Blizzard, but basically everybody. Everybody in the gaming industry is getting taken advantage of for the most part. And I hope that Microsoft doesn't come in and be like, all right, we're solving the culture problem here, and take that opportunity to try and quash what has been going on there, to try and get that groundswell of support to unionize there. Because once a big company like Activision Blizzard goes, I feel like that could be a domino effect for a lot of other companies to say, like, okay, it's possible now. We can do that as well, and work for better working conditions for all these developers.
Yeah. And then the last thing I'll say, the last topic I was thinking about that I think this could be good for really a lot more of the hardcore video game fans is I think that we see franchises come back that Activision would have never paid any attention to on their own. Spyro 4 never happened after the trilogy because Activision just decided not to, and they didn't make it. Toys for Bob, who made the Spyro trilogy, and then Crash 4, became a Call of Duty support studio.
Vicarious Visions as well, I think.
Yep, after making the Tony Hawk games, they were dismantled into Call of Duty support. And so I think there's a ton of series that we could see come back. I think you got Sledgehammer, Treyarch, and Infinity Ward as the big three Call of Duty studios that each churn one out every third year. I think Call of Duty's time as an annual series is over after the Xbox acquisition.
You would hope so.
I think that you see Treyarch seems to have the best track record. They make the Black Ops games, which are generally the better received ones. I think they become your Call of Duty studio. And the other two maybe get to go and do some new things. So Guitar Hero, who knows? Maybe they bring that back in some form. I think that there's a lot of good that could come games-wise from this. Activision has been so hyper-focused on the billion-dollar cash cows that they have not made really anything smaller. A few things here and there over the last, but I think that we could see some stuff come back.
Yeah, definitely looking forward
Crash
to
Bandicoot and Spyro on Xbox is going to be jarring.
Yeah, originally Sony IPs.
Those are not Xbox platform games.
That's weird.
We'll see.
But yeah, hopefully Microsoft will take advantage of a lot of those dormant IPs or things that Activision just didn't want to work on. And I'm sure that they want to, because that just extends their library out even farther. And that's kind of the different philosophies of having a service like Game Pass or just making games. Because if you're making games, then you're just like, all right, we need to make money on this game, or we need to make money on this microtransaction. Whereas if you've got Game Pass, it's like, well, if they've already bought in, we're just trying to draw more people in, which means a wider variety of games to entice more and more people into the service. And I feel like that's a very different way of going about it, and probably would help in getting a wider range of games to come out of Activision than before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we've only scratched the tip of the iceberg on all the ramifications of this deal. It's absolutely massive. I think it's hands down the biggest thing. It'll be the biggest thing of the year. We'll look back and there won't be a story bigger than this one this year. And it's one of the bigger stories we've ever talked about on the show. Maybe the biggest. So how fitting that it happens the week of episode 200. Kind of cool.
Yeah, worked out.
Yeah, but let's quickly get into an abridged version of.
Yes, so we've got a massive show coming up, but we have beaten some games over the past week, so we will do a very quick what we've been playing to give our final impressions on some of the games that we ripped through. We'll start with Kevin. I know you beat a couple games over the week.
Yeah, so Murder by Numbers is done. That was a trial.
Oh my gosh.
That last case was, in terms of pacing, absolutely atrocious. Like, I completely forget what's happening because there's just so many puzzles. I think for that game, the first two cases and around the first half of the third case, it's good. You're just rolling along, you're solving the cases, and you're doing puzzles here and there. And I think that the pace is really good. And then it just grinds to a halt, and it becomes a chore to finish. And I was at the point where I'm like, I'm close enough to beating it. I just want to beat this, say I'm done with it, and move on. And I did. But man, that last half of Case 4 was absolutely brutal. Just puzzle after puzzle, search for an item, puzzle. And then you talk to a guy for 2 seconds, like, oh, you got to solve this puzzle. And it just never ended. And it was really frustrating. You mute the music most of the way through because it gets really grating. And there's only so many times I can have it be like, oh, this guy's been murdered. Do this puzzle. Do. And it's just really happy music on like this man's corpse. It's frustrating because I think that what's there is solid. I think that those first couple of cases were very fun. Good puzzles. And I enjoyed the story, but the pacing just absolutely destroys it, and the music gets incredibly grating by the end of your 30 to 35 hour time with the story mode. So if you're a big fan of Picross, go and play it. If you're not, I'd say approach with caution and maybe pace yourself out because it is a marathon. It is a chore at certain points.
It took me like a week to get through the first 2.5 cases and like 2 months to beat the last case and a half because I just couldn't do it, which sounds very similar to you.
Yeah, so I'm glad it's done though. And if I ever get the Picross itch, I can just do a puzzle on the extras and not have to go through a whole story of trying to remember what's happening. So yeah, that's done. And then I beat The Tourist. I picked that up on sale on Logan's recommendation, an old recommendation when that game came out a couple years ago. But it was on sale. Picked it up. And it's fun. It's nice to have those short, like 3 to 4 hour adventures every once in a while. And the game is really gorgeous for its graphical style. And yeah, just going through and not knowing anything about it, it's fun to explore and discover things and, you know, figuring out the puzzles and certain missions and things. And the fact that you're always switching things up and trying something new, I found a lot of fun. Some of them more fun than others. I found the surfing to be really annoying, but I don't know what was going on there, but the controls are really weird. So it's hit and miss on some of the gameplay styles, but I think being able to switch it up that much in a very short amount of time made everything feel fresh, and going to all the different islands was fun. I liked the music a lot. Yeah, it was just a nice, fun, chill little adventure, and I may go back in a little while and finish the last couple of missions that I have to wrap it up, but I enjoyed my time with it.
We know so much about pretty much every game we choose to play. It's really nice when you just find a little game you know literally nothing about, and it turns out to be really good.
Yeah, you don't have those experiences very often, so that was fun. But yeah, as for games that
I've always liked the art style for that. Yeah,
I think it's on Game Pass, Zach.
It looks good. It is on Game Pass.
Just play it there.
I see the cover, it's just like, oh, that looks really cool. So yeah.
Yeah, if you've ever got...
It's spelled tourist wrong, though, so that always throws me off.
They tried. But yeah, if you've got, especially if you're on Game Pass and you just need something for a couple of hours, highly recommend it. It's a fun little game.
Got too many games to play.
Well, yeah, if you have Game Pass, there's a lot in there.
Exactly. Logan and I beat a couple games together.
One of these
over last
is
weekend.
A massive surprise.
This is gonna be...
I couldn't believe it when you sent the message in our group chat.
Some of you listeners. But
I am very curious what compelled you to go back, because I swear over and over again it sounded like you guys were done, but you weren't apparently.
All right, Logan, tell the audience what we beat over the weekend.
We beat It Takes Two.
Game of the Year.
Game of the Year.
2021.
Okay, so I always left it installed on my PS5, just wondering if we would ever go back. And after it won Game of the Year, I was like, gosh, we need to see the end of this thing to see if it really turns around, what people like about it. So Zach was up this weekend. It's way easier to stomach local co-op than online. Online is just absolutely miserable when you're not even in the same room as the person you're doing this stuff with. But we beat it, and my opinion did not change. The last level was the coolest by far. It was this like music themed level. The coolest. You're setting up like a concert kind of thing, and you get singers and instruments and equipment, and it's pretty neat. And the music's cool. The story's still terrible. The gameplay doesn't get much better. It's just the aesthetic really that carries the last level. So my opinion of it did not change at all. I did not like it. We were watching a YouTube walkthrough to see how many minutes from the end we were. We're just like hoping that we're close.
Push on. Yeah.
So like, how many hours did you spend from what? Because we were about the same point. How many hours was it from that point to the end?
When we started, we were at the end of the ice level, like the snowy level. Then we had the garden level and the attic level, and that was it.
Okay, so not a ton left.
It didn't take more than 5 extra hours of gameplay over the weekend.
We didn't even. I'd say we played for like 3.5, 4 hours.
3.5, yeah.
Okay.
That sounds about right. But yeah, like Logan said, the last level was far and away the coolest. Aesthetically, I still hated the game, like the stupid mechanics they gave you. Like I had a shield and he could sing, like whatever. It didn't really matter.
How many more times did you hear Cody?
Oh,
I started counting.
He lost count at 25 or something like that.
Within the first 45 minutes, literally it was 21 times. And then I stopped counting. It was so unbelievable. We realized that Cody doesn't say
May.
Yeah,
like
it's
2
just
times
Cody.
in that span, like 1 or 2. Yeah. The ending did pan out like I was afraid it would. It didn't surprise me. It played out exactly like it was leading up to. And
terrible story.
I still don't get it. Like, it's a really gorgeous game. It looks really good. Just everything else just really
not
really below standard for my kind of game, I guess.
What are you talking about? Game of the year. Yeah.
Sorry, game of the year.
I deleted it instantly after we completed it. It was gone.
To be fair, I thought we had abandoned it, but Logan was determined to finish it.
Yep, we did it.
We did it. But that wasn't the only game we beat over the weekend. We also beat a short game from a series I had never played. It's a big year for this series. Donkey Kong, Country Tropical Freeze. It's a long title. I didn't know it was a country game. I just thought it was Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze for the longest time. But I've never played a Donkey Kong game before, so we sat down and played this game together. It's co-op 2D platformer, and it was absolutely incredible.
Great game.
I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. I've always wanted to play this game because you guys have talked about how much you like it.
Yeah, I mean, if you love the 2D Mario games, it's
that's what Logan said.
It's like 30 times better.
Exactly, it's a much better version of a thing I already like.
New Super Mario Brothers,
yeah. Old Mario is great.
So we sat down and we played this game co-op. He was Donkey Kong and I was my new favorite video game character, Cranky Kong, who I knew nothing about, but now I know a tremendous amount about. And the whole Donkey Kong clan I know much more about now.
Did you learn that from the game? Crazy. I don't think it really tells you very much.
I did some deep dive research.
Oh my
and then Logan gave me a rundown because he had also done some research before we even played this game. So now we're Donkey Kong aficionados.
And yet you picked Cranky Kong instead of Dixie, who is
Dixie Kong
significantly better in terms of her ability.
Oh, the pogo's amazing. No, what are you talking about?
Cranky Kong's amazing. His pogo stick, I just never stopped pogoing.
Oh, okay.
The whole game, I was just bop, bop. He just bouncing around. It was incredible. He could reach high and he could dodge attacks. It was great. Cranky Kong was a real champion.
Could stomp on enemies that had like spikes on their heads.
Exactly.
If you use the pogo stick.
Okay.
He did. I don't know what. I think Dixie Kong. Did she have like a hair attack?
She does a hair twirl.
To get more height or whatever.
I think each character
Titty's
brings
the worst.
Titty is just Dixie, but worse.
Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah, that game was gorgeous. The art direction. I love the way all the levels look, especially the silhouetted levels, which were Logan's favorite. I think that's a really unique take on the art style for this game. I'm glad they tried something new. And the bosses were difficult. The levels were difficult. This is a difficult game. I wasn't expecting it to be as hard as it was, but we persevered after a lot of life grinding. In one level, we found we were able to get a lot of lives in. So that was, the level went quick, so it wasn't a huge slog, and it was a lot of fun. I just enjoyed it tremendously. So now I'm excited for the next Donkey Kong to come out whenever that might be.
Whenever that is.
Exactly.
Yeah, hopefully soon.
Holy crap.
There's rumors about it.
We'll see.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Rumors.
It's exciting.
Yep. Rumors that it's in development by the Mario Odyssey team. So we'll see about that. I had only played this game single player, so playing it multiplayer was a much different experience. It made a lot of things a lot easier, but it made some things harder, because especially in the later world, there's like times where it's just like a bridge of a few floating enemies, and you need to bounce across them.
Oh.
But they are gone after you bounce on them, so you have to time it together. There's luckily like a 1 second window after one person jumps on it that the other person can still jump on it, but it's still made for some funny situations. But I just adore that game. I think it's such a brilliant platformer. The fifth world, Juicy Jungle, is so brilliant. It takes you through the entire process of creating popsicles, basically. Because the first level is like this grape juice river, and it shows them like juicing the grapes. And then a couple levels later, they turn it into Jell-O. And then in the next level, it freezes, and then they're turning them into popsicles. And it's just like this like narrative story about this factory in the background, this great popsicle factory, and it's just so cool to play, and there's so many cool mechanics. Yeah, that game is outstanding. One of the best 2D platformers ever, I would say. I think it's so brilliant, and I can't believe it's been 8 years and there hasn't been a follow-up to it. I just think people really care about Donkey Kong right now, and I'm hoping that the movie and maybe the Donkey Kong spin-off movie and the theme park, the biggest
one that they know of.
They know of. I hope
can't get too outlandish.
I hope that kind of puts DK back on the map, and that maybe he can get some more games, because I just love the momentum of Donkey Kong Country too. He's so heavy. You roll, you do the long jump, you fly across the screen. Really great for speed running. Just a super satisfying game. And the soundtrack, we didn't mention it.
Soundtrack's fantastic.
Outstanding. So yeah, I'm in love with that game.
Great game.
It definitely seems like Nintendo is ramping up to some more Donkey Kong love in the future, so we'll keep it.
You would assume that they try and coincide that with a game of some kind, whether that's Donkey Kong Country or some other project. If they've got a movie and a theme park in the works, you would think that there's a game
like
to go along with that.
A good time to pump out a new game.
Yeah, I would hope so.
We'll see. I think that's all Logan beat over the last week. I also beat Skyward Sword 2 weeks ago, but didn't have enough time to talk about it last week. I've given my impressions on this game. You know I enjoy it. I enjoy every Zelda I've played. The only thing I will say is that we attempted to complete this Zelda, the whole shebang. We successfully did it, minus a few heart pieces, because getting the Hylian shield was our big goal, and you can go back after you beat a certain part of the later part of the game and do this trial, which is a boss rush, where you can go through every boss in the game, and every time you beat one of the bosses, they happen in random order, so you can't really plan it out. You get the option of aiming a reward and quitting, and hated it because we had to fight like 7 bosses to get the Hylian shield, and every time we beat a boss, we had to turn down a reward, and then we turned down 2 heart pieces, and we had to claim the Hylian shield at 7, and we didn't get the rewards from the bosses we had beat prior. So you have to do it like 10 times to get all 10 rewards.
You would think that it was like you
beat 10 bosses.
Whenever you cash out, if you didn't lose, you would get everything that you gotten previously, as long as you didn't die.
That is not how it works.
Yeah, that's terrible.
That's how it should work. We missed out on like 2 heart pieces and 2,000 rupees just to get the shield, and we weren't gonna go back and fight the imprisoned another 3 times. It just wasn't gonna happen, so we decided to call it there.
Fair. You earned them technically. They don't show up, but you technically
The weird thing is that the Hylian shield wasn't the final reward. There was still like 3 bosses to go, so I don't even know what the biggest reward
if you were like, I don't need this, I'm gonna keep going and see what I get. I'm not gonna get
on the Hylian shield.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Not gonna happen. That was our goal going in, so we just cashed out there, got the shield, and called it good. We tested it out. It's fine. We just wanted it because it's Link's shield and it looks cool. But yeah, really enjoyed Skyward Sword. Next up on the Zelda docket, Link Between Worlds, which I have borrowed from Logan. So this is a good time to be a Zelda fan.
Because you have a friend that you can borrow games from?
Exactly.
Because you have a friend you can borrow a 9-year-old game.
Great time to be a Zelda fan, boys.
Yo, if you're a Zelda fan right now, you got like 17
just hit up Logan. He's got a bunch of those games.
And he's got them all.
Yeah, it's a great time to be a Logan friend and a Zelda fan.
Oh my god.
But speaking of which, I have dubbed this year the Year of Zelda. I'm going to play the entire franchise. I've just decided that earlier this week.
order.
Prepare for Breath of the Wild 2, and then it doesn't come out.
Yeah, pretty much. I think about, oh gosh, that would be so devastating. I think about Breath of the Wild 2 literally every day. And I'm like, how do I channel this energy, commit to a full replay of the series? Some of the games I've never even beaten. So I'm going to
games
finally...
is that?
18?
18.
All right, good luck.
Thanks.
That's almost half of your 50.
Yep.
It's just in Zelda
Did
games.
you beat 18 games last year? I don't think you even beat 18.
So.
No.
Ramping it back
this
up.
This is a big year.
Yeah,
that will be the biggest year of that any of us have ever done.
Yes, if I get it done.
Far in a way, yeah.
Yeah. Zach died after one game on Mario, and now you're going for 18.
Hey, real quick,
a lot of Halos.
Before we get into the Ode to Old Ode Tos, quick rumor roundup, because I almost forgot.
We have a rumor.
We have a rumor.
Scratch the whole thing about Activision Blizzard being the biggest news story we're talking about on this show ever.
We got something new.
Rumors.
This is from Game in Europe, which is their game store over there.
Yep.
And they listed it for £65 on all platforms except for Switch, which goes for $60. This is basically $70.
Oh my god. This is going to be a mess. You go from a budget release to a full-on... And they're targeting last gen and current gen, right?
Yes, we're also learning there is a next gen upgrade. So apparently there is.
Is that the upgrade to make the game run well?
I hope so.
Make it work.
Yeah, so fully priced Sonic game.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be 3 hours again.
Yeah, I think full price is a hesitant sign, I guess. I want it to be a full game.
I don't know if it is.
I want to say that expectations have been raised, but they really haven't.
Yeah. So that's this week's rumor roundup.
Oh boy.
All right.
$70. Logan, you excited to pay $70 for that?
Yeah. I'll probably buy it like twice.
Absolutely.
Oh my god. But it's cheaper on Switch, so it'll be fine.
I don't want it on Switch. But I do.
It'll run. Wow, that thing is gonna run like garbage on the Switch.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Playing it on PS5 for sure.
Oof. All right. Thanks for that. Glad we had that. All right. Almost 50 minutes into this episode.
It's already a long episode.
It is time.
This is gonna be a big one.
To reminisce on the early days of Ode games. So we've picked a bunch of old Ode Tos from the first 100 episodes, and then there's some other ones from later that kind of connect back in. But mainly Ode Tos from the first 100 episodes that we wanted to look back on and see how we did, if things came true of a prediction or a want, or how we did on games that we wanted to beat, or what our top 10 list looks like a number of years later. So we've got a bunch of Ode Tos that we're going to be running through in honor of episode 200, starting with a Smash wish list that we made on episode 7. So that was, what, spring of
2018. I put the dates in there.
Okay, we've got the dates.
It's March 23rd,
March 23rd, 2018. So coming up on 4 years ago.
So this was the episode after the initial Super Smash Bros. Teaser, the trailer with the Inklings, and then female Inkling turns and the Smash Ball reflects in her eye. It's not even called Ultimate at this point. It's just called Super Smash Brothers. And people are like, is it just a Wii U port?
Yeah.
Boy, did we know nothing of what this would turn into be. But so we were making our wishes right after that initial announcement.
So I'll go through my list
out
first.
9 months after that, right?
Yeah, it came out 9 months later.
It's a pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. So we picked 3 main characters that we wanted to see, and then we had some of us had honorable mentions. I don't think Zach did. None of mine came.
Well, I
came
technically
true.
did, but I didn't include it.
Oh, all right. Well,
I'll talk about it.
My honorable mention was King Korobo from Little King's Story. There's no way he was getting in at all. That game hasn't been relevant.
That's what you said back in the show. You said that
since 2008. My third pick was Shantae. She got a costume
fighter.
She got a Mii fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Harvest Moon Farmer. No way. That was not going to happen.
Yep.
But a Stardew Farmer could have been cool. Stardew Man.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then Crash Bandicoot was number 1. And
It's going to be
It was
the
rumored for a
Xbox
long
fighting
time.
game now.
That felt like a pretty safe bet, but we got some other cool ones. So yeah, big offer on that. But besides Shantae, I guess.
Shantae was a close enough guess.
Yeah, got something there. Logan, how did your wants go back in 2018?
I went 1.5 correct. So my honorable mentions, I said Madeline from Celeste. I figured the game was too new at the time, and the roster is probably already set, and that was true. No Celeste representation. Professor Layton, I guess he's just not as relevant as he was a few years ago. I feel like if Ultimate, with all its third-party support, had been a bigger thing, like in the time of Smash Wii U, when they were really just dabbling with third-party, I think Layton might have been in. He's been a big series for Nintendo. That didn't happen. Number 3, I said Shovel Knight. He got in as an assist trophy. So that was cool to see one of the biggest indies ever get some representation. My number 2 was Banjo and Kazooie.
Big moment.
Which did happen.
Nailed it.
Very exciting. And my number 1 was Bandana Waddle Dee. I really thought there'd be a new Kirby character, but there wasn't anything new for Kirby. But Banjo and Kazooie.
By the time the new big Kirby game's coming out, Smash Ultimate's already done.
Yep. But very thrilled with Banjo. And I didn't request the Dragon Quest hero at this time. We had all just finished Dragon Quest at the time of this announcement.
I don't think we considered it,
Yeah, it wasn't really on the radar yet, but Banjo, very happy with that one.
Nice.
And then my list, which is... it's an okay list. I did have an honorable mention. At this point, we didn't know that Smash Ultimate was going to be an everybody is here type situation. So a couple in my list are just, I want characters to return who weren't in Smash 4.
Yeah, at that point was fair.
Yeah, totally.
Exactly. Because I had played Brawl for my first into the series and then Smash 4. So I wanted some characters from Brawl to come back that didn't make it into the sequel. My honorable mention, for some reason, it was Ice Climbers. And I believe I said... it would be cool if Ice Climbers were in it, although I don't really care about them. So I have no idea why I said Ice Climbers.
Nice.
I don't know why they were on my mind, but they made it in. Number 3, I had Knuckles, which was Sonic is in Smash Ultimate. He's been in since Brawl. He's a third-party character. They don't add a lot of second characters from third-party games, although they did add a couple in Ultimate, like a couple characters from Final Fantasy. Ken from Street Fighter along with Ryu, so it was possible. I wouldn't have been crazy surprised if Knuckles made it in. He just didn't. He does have the Mii hat, I think. He's got a
full Mii costume.
He has a full Mii.
It's ugly because it has a face.
It is really
can't
ugly.
make it look good. He's also an assist trophy.
Okay,
right.
So he's in there somehow.
Take that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. That's how little I've used his
no items
assist stuff. Exactly. Yeah, we don't even use items. And then my number 2 was Solid Snake, who I played a lot of in Brawl. He was not brought back into Smash 4, but of course they brought him back for Smash Ultimate because of the Everybody Is Here. He fits a lot better now. He kind of stood out as like this human in Brawl. The art styles didn't really mesh very well, but I think it's a lot more cohesive looking for every character now with the art style they landed on. I'm glad they brought him back. And then, of course, my number 1 is the character I've requested the whole time. It's Waluigi.
Did not get
He had the best shot of making it. I was confident, and it just never happened. Up until Sora, I was adamant that he was going to make it into the game, and it didn't pan out. But Waluigi's got love from other games. He's in all the sports games, so he's still seeing some love. And until we get a year of Waluigi, I won't be satisfied.
And Solid Snake, if you remember, was the biggest crazy return for the Everybody Is Here. He's the one they showed right before they flashed Everybody's Here on the screen in that first trailer when everybody lost their minds all over the world.
I remember that. I did not. Was there a problem with Konami or something?
Yeah.
Of course, there's always a problem with Konami.
Sure.
Yeah, because he flashed in on the ground in Shadow Moses, and then it was like Everybody Is Here, and then like the music kicks in, and it's like the coolest trailer ever. Yeah.
So that was a good work to get everyone in Smash. Good for them.
Unreal.
Seriously.
We do remember those times where we didn't know that everyone was going to be here and doing this show.
Yeah.
Wasn't a ton of time there wasn't a whole lot of overlap there, but
no. Exactly.
Very early on, episode 7, March 23rd.
Yeah, that was in person.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because by around episode 2025, we had moved
is
to
where we split off a little bit.
Yeah. So
yeah,
good times with those. Logan, you want to talk about some backlogs that we made a couple of years ago? See how we're doing on those?
So we did a couple of backlog episodes. Episode 15 on May 18th, 2018, which very well could have been the first episode we were no longer together for.
Yes, that seems
right
like
after
the right time. Yeah.
Yeah, right after Kev graduated.
Yeah.
Summer started that year. And then we did another one on February 1st, 2019. This is episode 49. That's what we're going to go through and see how we've done. So I'll go first. Let's just go through both lists. In 2018, I said I wanted to beat Mario and Luigi Partners in Time. Still has not happened.
Are you still on the final boss on that?
Yes, I still am. I still am. But I did, I found out how to escape and go grind. I just haven't done it because it's painful. Then Sonic Lost World 3DS, which I did go back and beat.
Great game, right?
I did finish that. It's horrible. It is a terrible game. And then Pokemon Coliseum, which I have not played since or really thought about since I put it on this backlog. So 1 for 3, I'll take it. I think that's solid.
At least one.
Then backlog part 2 in 2019, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, which I have finished twice since then, so that's a big win. Bayonetta 2, I have not gone back and played that. Radiant Historia, I have not gone back and finished that. Uncharted Golden Abyss, big win. I did go and play that. Monster Hunter World, huge win.
Put in a couple hours into that.
Yep.
Put in about 300 hours after this point. Yakuza 0, I still ashamedly have not.
Huge fail.
Have not finished. Super Metroid, I didn't finish, but I kind of decided I don't want to, so I've abandoned it.
Fair, yeah. I count that.
Mario and Luigi Partners in Time.
Back again. So you realized a little 8 months later that it hadn't happened yet.
And God of War.
That is the most legendary backlog. I don't even think that's backlog anymore. I think that is abandoned.
I think it's backlog. Because I'm playing it right now. Oh, I am. I'm playing it.
At the moment.
Not even kidding.
Yeah? You close?
I'm at the boss where I got stuck last time.
Not the one with the dark.
The one in the dark, yep.
Oh, you're still on that one.
He restarted.
I restarted the game.
Oh, and then you stopped again.
Yes. But I am... So my girlfriend decided she didn't really care that much about Mass Effect. A little too slow. Not quite as cinematic as the games she really likes watching with me. Like first-party PlayStation stuff she really enjoys. So I'm just going to play Mass Effect on my own. And we have shifted to God of War because I figured it's an accountable way to get me to play it. I was going to keep it a surprise and just reveal it on the show when I finished it. But then Zach was over, and I knew he would see it on my PlayStation dash. So I told him.
You really overestimate the amount of attention I pay to things. I am always checked out. Like, I just noticed a huge TV in my friend's room for the first time in like a week that's just been sitting there. I was just like, hey, how long's that TV been there? He's like, seriously, dude? I was like, oh.
So, yep, God of War.
Wow.
It's happening. I'm playing on the easiest difficulty just to get through it. And I'm really enjoying it this time. I'm really enjoying God of War. So,
it's good.
I'm going to get it done. But yeah, not bad. I beat, how many? Lost World, Tropical Freeze, Uncharted, Monster Hunter. 4 games? That's not bad.
Yeah.
From this list.
Yeah, that's solid.
Zach, how about you?
All right, we'll start with my backlog from 2018. It was supposed to be 2, but you each added a third, and then I did not add a third, so it looks like I slacked a little bit.
Zach doesn't just have an insane memory. He's the one who went back and listened to all of these episodes.
He had some really poor secretarial recording for the first 100 or so episodes, so we didn't have any of this documented, so I had to go back and listen to the episodes to write out all of this information.
Thanks for
our Ode To Tos, which was a lot of fun. It was very nostalgic going back and listening to us. I hate on Secret of Mana, gush about Monster Hunter World, talk about Dragon Quest, talk about all these games that we love. It was a good time. So
college was a good time.
I don't hate that I did it. But my backlog from 2018 was just 2 games. Final Fantasy X, which I had told the story about how I had gotten to the near end of the game. My PS3 had broken. I moved my save data onto a flash drive, but that had made it so I wasn't able to save my game anymore. So I had to plow through the rest of the end game without saving and without dying because it would load me back to my last save. I made it extremely far. I was aggressively underleveled, and then I died and then gave up. So I wanted to go back and actually beat the game. And in 2019, at the end of 2019, I did attempts. I started playing Final Fantasy X. I was really intent on being decently leveled, so I did a lot of grinding early on, and then I just stopped playing. So
I thought you finished it.
Wait, and now you're recommending me to play it, and you didn't finish it?
Well, I watched the ending on YouTube 3 years ago, so I know how it ends.
Okay.
As soon as I lost to like one of the final bosses, I just went and watched like the last.
Oh, so you were right there.
I was right there.
Okay.
Then I lost, and I couldn't do it. It was impossible. I was too underleveled to do it. I just watched the last hour on YouTube or whatever.
Leveled. Severely underleveled. And what about your other ones?
The other one I had in 2018 was Jack 2, which
game.
I never ever finished. Not as a kid, not as a teenager.
I don't blame you. That game is brutal.
I couldn't do it. That game is unfairly difficult. That might be the most unfair game I have ever played in terms of just weird difficulty. But I actually sat down and did it.
You played every 3D Sonic.
Back in 2020, yeah, exactly.
Jack 2 has got a special level of bogus.
Exactly. Just being trapped on docks with 100 enemies with guns and the water kills you and you have to escape these skinny docks
I specifically remember you were on like a board, like a hoverboard, and you had to get off of the docks, and it was a nightmare because you would either get like pelted, you'd fall off into the water, and then they'd kill you there automatically. Like, it was brutal, and it was like, why is this so hard?
But I willed myself through it with every gaming skill I've acquired over my lifetime, and I managed to do it back in 2020, so kudos to me, I guess. And then in 2019 I had top of my list Monster Hunter World, which I think I ended at around 400 some odd hours in that game, which,
congrats. You did it.
I'll call a resounding success. Horizon Zero Dawn Frozen Wilds, which Logan and I play together. Another situation where we were aggressively underleveled and struggled to get through it. But with sheer perseverance, we managed to do it.
Because you can persevere in a game like that. In JRPG, you're underleveled.
You're just screwed.
No. Yeah, it's rough in that situation. Earthbound, it's not important. Okay, Logan, old favorite game of all time. Earthbound, I attempted back in college. I put in my good first hour, got stomped on, mentally scarred, I would say, and have never gone back since because of that experience. But hey, maybe one day I will. Who knows? And then Yakuza 6. It had been out for a little bit at that time. It was next on my list, and I think I played it very shortly after this episode.
After this one?
We'll get into it now.
After that episode. I'll get to it. And then Persona 5, which is Kevin's version of Earthbound. I let him down. I've let both of you down in this list.
With our favorite JRPGs, excluding Dragon Quest for me. But yeah.
Exactly. Although I did put 25-ish hours into Persona 5, decided maybe it wasn't for me. Enjoyed my time with it.
Right there.
Yeah.
I wasn't feeling another 75 hours, which is perfectly okay.
That's fair.
If you don't want to put in 75 hours to a game. But I did enjoy the time I had with it, and I still absolutely love the aesthetic and the music.
You did well, though.
Pretty
solid.
solid.
You did well on your backlog. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah. How many games out of that did you won?
I'm gonna not count Final Fantasy X. 2, 3. Yes.
4.
Which is good.
Yeah.
All right. For me, back in 2018, I had 3 games, a couple of Mario games. Super Mario Sunshine. I never beat that because it was one of those games that you played as a kid where you'd play like the beginning levels a billion times. And then I just remember getting to Pianta Village and just being like, what in the world is this? Like, this is brutal. So I never beat it. And I did. Finally. Now that we've got, well, I guess we don't have it anymore, but the 3D Mario collection that came out on Switch.
It's on my backlog now.
It is shifted backlogs. But it was one of those games that was very nice to finally finish that and see the end for myself after playing it so much as a kid. Also, like Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, the exact same situation where I have played the first like 3 or 4 areas of that game at least like 6 or 7 times, but never actually beat the game. So that was in 2019, I believe. I played both Paper Mario on the N64 and Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door and finished both of them. And it was great. Lived up to the expectations I had built over all those years of not finishing it. But those were 2 really nice games to finish just because they had been with me since I was like, 7 years old or whatever for Sunshine at Thousand Year Door. And then Little King Story, I still haven't finished that. I think I went back and tried, and I'm at the final boss on that. And from what I remember, the final boss was really brutal. Yeah. So I still haven't done it. I'm so close. But now it's the thing of like
underleveled. Is that the thing?
There's not a level per se. I guess I'm just not good at it. I don't know. But it's at the point now where I can. Yeah, it's been so long. I don't think I can just hop back in and play the final boss. But I don't think I want to start over, at least right now. So
start over on the easy difficulty.
I don't even know if there is an easy difficulty. Still love that game, but never actually completely finished it. Going to 2019, Sonic Mania. I got to the last area on that and got really frustrated and stopped. I hated the concept of you have a certain amount of lives throughout the entire, like the acts and the final boss. And if you lose all your lives, you have to go back and redo the acts. And those last 2 are brutal. I really didn't like them very much.
Frustrating. Yeah.
So I got to a point where I'm just like, I'm done. I don't want to bang my head against the wall in these 2 acts to get one shot at the boss and then get wrecked and then have to go back and, do the acts again. So I got close. I had fun with it, but didn't beat it. Fist of the North Star, that a game that RGG Studios made. I beat that. That was fun.
Nice.
Wasn't anywhere near as good as the other Yakuza games, but for someone who doesn't know Fist of the North Star at all, I had a good time with it. I had Frozen Wilds on here as well for Horizon. Beat that. God of War. Beat that. Nier Automata. I beat that. The Thousand Year Door made another appearance on my list. I guess I hadn't beaten that at that point. It was later in the year that I did, and I ended up beating that.
It's like a Hall of Fame ballot. Things keep showing up year after year until they finally get in. You finally did it.
Yeah, finally finished that one off. And then I put the Kingdom Hearts series at the bottom, and I gave it a shot. I beat the first Kingdom Hearts game. I played 3 when it came out, and I played I beat 3, yeah. Okay, cool, I played Chain of Memories and absolutely despised it. That game is awful. And I played part of Kingdom Hearts 2, but I think I was just really burned out from
Chain of Memories effort.
Where I was just like, I can't. I already don't know what's happening in the story. I think I'm just done. So I'm not going to count that as a win, but I gave it a shot. I tried. And I've got the collection if I ever want to go back and try and play more Kingdom Hearts 2. But I gave it a shot.
Nice.
So what is that? 1, 2,
don't
3,
count Paper
4,
Mario
5,
twice.
6. 6 games beaten, and then Sonic Mania on the last boss.
Nice.
Pretty solid.
And Little King Story on the last boss.
And Little King Story.
Apparently.
It's those last bosses that are just brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty solid.
Right, so
I was expecting to go back to those backlogs and just being like, oh my god, I didn't beat any of these.
Pretty well.
But
we all did all right.
Yeah. Nice.
And we would maybe make some new ones, but we've already done our game goals, which is basically our backlog.
That's what backlog turned into, is game goals for the year. Yeah.
Yeah. So. Although we did also bring back a new concept, or an old concept is back. The one where we each pick a game for the other 2 of us to play. You may have heard us alluding to that earlier in the show. We can just go through that real quick, because that's kind of a new backlog. Kevin gave me Bug Fables, the Paper Mario inspired RPG that's on Game Pass. And Zach gave me The Witcher 3.
Hey,
Zach gave both of us massive games.
Yeah. But The Witcher 3 I already owned because that thing is regularly on sale for like $6. Yeah. So I bought it. I have the complete on PlayStation digitally. So
nice.
I used the empty It Takes Two space to install that.
Nice. I'm surprised you kept It Takes Two for that long, considering that it's got to be a fight for storage space on the PS5.
Other stuff went that I wanted to keep more. I deleted Ghost of Tsushima, which I still sometimes go back to keep It Takes Two.
Wow, it's kind of gross.
Zach, what are your new the games we picked for you?
Logan picked A Link Between Worlds for me.
Good time to be a Zelda fan.
Good time,
year. Yeah.
Good time to be a Zelda fan. And Kevin picked. Why am I forgetting what it was? What did you pick for me?
It's a number plus something else.
Oh, yes. Kevin picked 13 Sentinels for me, which is a JRPG he played in 2021.
JR Story. Yeah, 2021.
So, at some point I did want to pick that up because it was on sale. I think it was near Black Friday or something, but I just forgot about it. So I am actually very excited to play that one.
Yeah, great game. For me, Zach picked Final Fantasy X, which I find funny that he never beat it.
Passing the torch. I'm passing on the torch.
What, is my save file going to get corrupted?
Oh, probably not. That was a PS3 problem.
Yeah, so I got Final Fantasy X.
We got cloud storage. Yeah, it shouldn't be an issue.
God. And then Logan picked Captain Toad. Luckily, both of those games were on sale when we dished out our picks for the other person, so I was able to pick those up and start playing through them. So
the day after I picked Toad for Kev, Nintendo's like, your new Switch game trial, play it for a week for free, then buy it for like 30% off, Captain Toad.
Yeah, well, perfect timing. Yeah. Because Nintendo games very rarely go on sale. So yeah,
I'm excited you're playing Captain Toad. I think it's as good as it's like 3D Mario quality, and you've played all of those, and I think of Captain Toad like kind of in that same series. It's such a good little game.
The little bit that I've played.
And Zach's second favorite Zelda is A Link to the Past, and I like A Link Between Worlds even more than A Link to the Past, so that was why I picked that for him.
Very excited to play it.
And Zach wanted to punish us with 80-hour games.
Panicked. I really did. I don't know.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Well, all right. But that's it for games we missed out on, and a little bonus. Sorry. Let's get into games we missed out on now. Zach, you want to take us through that?
So up next, we have a collection of Ode Tos that we did over the span of 3 episodes. We did a section we call Games We Have Missed Out On, and we separated it throughout 3 episodes because we did 1 episode focused on PlayStation, 1 episode focused on Xbox, and 1 episode focused on Nintendo. It was episodes 62, 63, and 65, because 64 was when we gave our Team Sonic Racing impressions.
Yeah.
Which I believe is the last time we saw each other in person.
Builders 2 was a couple months later.
Okay, that was
afterwards. Okay. Builders 2 was a little bit later. But yes, that was a great game. And
Builders 2.
Yes, I was talking
about Team Sonic
Racing.
I love Team Sonic Racing.
Yes, Team Sonic Racing was a lot of fun. So this is what we'll be talking about next. The first one up on the list from May 10th, 2019 was Games We Missed Out on PlayStation Edition. I was less so in the boat of missing out on PlayStation games because I grew up with every PlayStation console. So my list was mainly focused on the handhelds because I never had a PSP or a PS Vita. And my list consisted of Uncharted Golden Abyss, which I've still not played, which Logan has played.
Great time to be an Uncharted fan.
Time to be an Uncharted fan.
Logan's got it.
Is. There's some good stuff
there. They got a movie. And Logan's got
a movie coming out. Vita. It's a great time. It's a great time to be Logan's friend. And then the other one was Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, which is not confined to...
Are you right over there?
Is Birth by Sleep in the all-in-one? Or is that just
Birth by Sleep is now a full game in 2.5.
Okay. Do you
own
not
it? One of the cutscenes.
I still don't own all-in-one.
I own
it like $20.
So it's a great time to be a Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, Zach, it's a great time.
The story so far.
Borrow it from Logan.
Borrow.
Those are like consistently like $20 for like everything.
Except on
the urge to
Switch.
go back and play.
The
because
them.
Switch is
cloud
cloud.
versions.
Disgusting.
The cloud versions are going to cost $90 for the entire thing.
Wow, to get a cloud version,
Which
that
is nasty.
Gross.
I think I still have 1.5 on PS3. Never bought 2.5.
All right, so 0 for 2 on the PlayStation ones.
That's
Sorry.
fine. Now, Kevin, which PlayStation games had you missed out on, and have you had a chance to play either of them?
I picked some series that started out on PS2, Ratchet and Clank and Sly Cooper. Have not played Sly Cooper yet, but I did play the Ratchet and Clank reboot that came out in 2016 on PS4 and had a good time with it, enough so that it made me want to pick up the new Ratchet and Clank whenever I got around to a PS5.
Was that after this point? After you said this? You played the reboot?
I played the reboot after this.
Cool, nice.
Yeah,
so you did it.
Yeah, I have not missed out on Ratchet and Clank per se. I have played one game out of those, and I do want to play more. I've heard the Ratchet and Clank game's really good, and Sly Cooper I still want to try at some point. Just haven't gotten around to it. I picked Jack and Daxter instead, and
yeah,
that turned out to be something. First game was good though.
Yeah, yes, it was. All right. So, well, you still have plenty of opportunity, especially when you get a PS5. You can play the new Ratchet and Clank, which everyone loves. So,
yeah, I do want to try it.
And Sly Cooper is dead, so you can just forget about that.
Yeah.
All right, Logan. What was your list for PlayStation?
Little Big Planet, which I didn't play a mainline game, but Sackboy Big Adventure came out.
Yeah.
Which is a 3D version, and it's amazing. So I'm gonna count that. Yeah. And I still want to play the other ones sometime. I have them on PS3, so I'd like to play those in co-op sometime. Probably with my girlfriend, because we played The Big Adventure together. Sly Cooper, it's a great time to be a Sly Cooper. Zach has the trilogy on PS3.
Sweet.
Zach,
you want to send that over to me? And PS3?
I have decided to never lend that game out again, because after this episode in May 2019, I told Logan that I owned the trilogy, and he seemed very excited to borrow it. Then I lent it to him, and I only recently got it back like a couple months ago from him, and he never played it.
Nice.
I just decided to take it back.
Yeah. Dude, it was, honestly, the hurdle was setting up the PS3. Like, why can't I just play this on PS4? That was a big hurdle for me.
These games are locked on PS3 right now.
Yeah, so I never played those, despite I moved cities twice with that game. And never played it. Jack and Daxter.
That game has traveled a lot.
I have no interest after hearing you guys tell your horror stories.
I still say play the first game, because the first game is a very good 3D platform.
I played the first game.
Oh, okay. Then did you play it before that?
I played like 3/4 of it.
Okay.
At a friend's house.
When you were a kid, or
before this?
Okay.
But yeah, when I was a kid, in high school.
Okay.
And I always wanted to go back and play the whole thing. So I've played most of the first game. So I think that I will probably not return to that series. And then Metal Gear Solid, I still want to play it in some form. But I'm like, maybe Sony can pull the impossible and eventually like do a full remake of the first one or something, which would be something I would definitely play.
But great.
Bring it back. Konami is
so cool.
Not great with that stuff.
No, they are
But
not.
Little Big Planet, I'm counting as a win, because Sackboy was a really fantastic game that I nearly 100%ed.
Nice.
What
is next on our trio here, Zach?
The week after the PlayStation edition, we did the Nintendo edition, which had some more to say about Nintendo edition.
Like the eShop.
Oh yeah, what a unintentional joke that was. I'll go first since it's okay. I had less Nintendo consoles growing up. On the opposite end of the spectrum, I mostly had Nintendo handhelds growing up, and less so the Nintendo consoles until I got a Wii in like 2008. So a lot of this is GameCube era focused, although I did have a GameCube later at that point. Still haven't had a chance because all these games are super expensive now on GameCube, so I'm not going to pay $90 for that. But Pokemon Stadium, which was not a GameCube game, it was a SNES? N64. I went too far back. It was an N64 game. I talked about having the game guide as a child and just reading it because I wasn't able to play the game, and everyone thought that was really sad. But
it's pretty.
It was enjoyable. Yeah. It is sad.
Not in the way of like, not in the way of like, man, you're sad. It's like, nah, it just sucks. Because I remember like doing that with PC games where like I would have the manual or whatever and read it, but the PC couldn't run it, so I was just like reading the manual instead.
Yeah,
it happens.
And then pushing forward to the GameCube era, Pokemon Coliseum, which was the successor to Pokemon Stadium. I then brought up how I had played Battle Revolution on the Wii, to which you both hated that game.
It's not good.
I just had a disgusting reaction to.
It's not good at all.
I did not hate that game. I enjoyed it at the time. I guess I just didn't really know what a better version of it could be.
It's funny that some things never change, because I literally like winced when you said Pokemon Battle.
That game is not good.
Yeah, and then Smash Melee.
You played that with me once.
Yes, we went through all the Smashes in one sitting. So I did get my first chance to play Melee. I think I played Link or something like that. I played fine. Brawl definitely felt weird going back after all these years and playing them in order. It did feel slow. I get that now. I get that it's really slow. And then after that, Wind Waker, which I played on Wii U with a friend of mine, the HD Wii U port. They came out years ago. This game is still not on Switch, by the way, which is a travesty.
You really should bring over those HD.
I should, because Wind Waker is my favorite Zelda. So I'm actually really happy I got the chance to play it. And then Breath of the Wild is also on this list. I put it on my list because at the time it came out, I really wanted to play it. I did not have a Switch, and then I got a Switch, and then I no longer wanted to play it. So I missed out on the point. 2019. No, that's what I'm saying. That's why I put it on the list, because I no longer wanted to play it after I got my Switch. So I missed out on the time that I wanted to play it with not having a Switch. But now I want to play it again because I've already played it. I've played it.
I was gonna say, now you want to take it?
I want to play it again because there's just been so much Zelda in my life recently. I'm like, man, I want to go back and play more Breath of the Wild. But yes, I did play it with Logan. I played it with my other friend, and then I did play it alone. So I've had a lot of exposure to this game. So I'll count that one as a resounding win.
Nice.
Yeah. So mostly, actually 3 out of 5, not bad.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Logan, how exactly? Logan, how did your list go?
I did pretty well. I wrote Pikmin 1 and 2. I don't know why I didn't put 3 on here, because I hadn't played it at this point. But I did. I played Pikmin 3 since then. So I'm happy about that one.
I picked up the first game on Japanese GameCube.
Oh,
it was $3.
Oh my gosh.
At a secondhand store. GameCube so collecting is a little easier over here. Anyways, continue.
Dude, how's Super Famicom collecting?
I just haven't bought in the console yet, but you can find in-box copies of a lot of games for between $10 and $20 pretty easily.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like Mother 2, Earthbound. I have a Super Famicom, but it's pricey to import stuff over here.
Yeah. I still need to get one while I'm here.
So I'll count that as a win, because I don't know why I didn't put 3. But it
doesn't count as a win because you specifically put 1 and 2 and then you played 3.
Yeah.
Because I wanted
There's
them
a distinct possibility. When I was going back and listening to these things, I was hopping around because I didn't want to listen to the whole thing. Maybe I just missed you saying 3. You said Pikmin 1 and 2, and then I was just like, cool, skip. Or something like that. Who knows? It might be on my end.
I'll count it. Pikmin 3. I played that whole game. Chibi Robo, it is so expensive and still not re-released, so I've had no chance to play that, despite still wanting to. Metroid Prime Trilogy, still holding out for them to remake it.
But now it's just
exactly
the
what you said back then.
Of 1, right? That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
We're confident that it was coming soon, and it has not.
And then a huge win, a franchise that I now love, F-Zero GX is on here. Man, I was playing F-Zero X right before. I love that whole series. I've played a ton of all of them now. So that's a huge win of a series that I missed out on that I really got into.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. I'm an offer on this.
That's okay.
Fat zero. Tokyo Mirage Sessions. I still want to play it. I have the Wii U version in Japanese because there was like a special edition version that was like $8, and I've seen it many times at game stores here for like $30, and I'm like, but I have so many other things to play, and I didn't think I was going to get to it, so I still want to play it at some point.
Yeah.
Banjo-Kazooie, they just announced that's coming to the NSO, but I'm not paying for the N64 expansion pass. So I feel like if I ever do go back and play those, it'll be whenever I finally hop back into Xbox, whenever that is, and play them on Rare Replay. Chrono Trigger, no. Still want to play it. And Earthbound is also a no. So, for on Nintendo, unfortunately.
Dang.
Oh, well.
All right. That was a bigger list, but after the episode where we talked about Team Sonic Racing, we did games we missed out on Xbox Edition, which has really taken a turn now that we own
Zach,
Xboxes.
you did great.
I know, I nailed this. Now that I'm a part of the Xbox ecosystem. But I'll start with Logan on this one, who also owns an Xbox Series S.
I do, and I'm halfway there on a few of these. Blue Dragon, it's that JRPG character designed by Akira Toriyama. Not played that. Still kind of interested, but the more I hear about it, the more people say it's not very good. So maybe I'll still play that. Then these next three, I have not played yet, but I have plans to. They're all installed on my Series S right now. Sunset Overdrive, I think I'll love that game if I just sit down and play it. Yeah, really still excited to experience that one someday. Gears of War, Zach and I have plans to co-op the entire series this year. So that will be done by the end of the year. And what I thought Kevin was going to pick for me, Viva Pinata, is still installed.
I would have picked that too,
on my Xbox.
But I've been talking to you about Bug Fables for a long time, so I needed you to play that.
Yeah.
But I would have picked Viva Pinata too.
Viva Pinata, jeez, Viva Pinata. How was that? My mouth like stuck together there. Viva Pinata, also on Game Pass. Looking forward to playing that. And then the last one is Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. It's getting a complete reimagining on PS5. So at this point, I'll just play that.
Yeah.
So I got plans to play most of these.
That's
still.
solid.
Yeah.
Now we have access to a whole library of Xbox games.
Yeah.
As for me, my list consisted of Forza Horizon, which I'll count as
big
a
win.
resounding win. I beat 4 and 5, and I've put a bunch of hours into 5 and absolutely loved it. Halo's 3 through 5, resounding win.
Huge win.
And 3 through 5 includes Reach in there because that came out between 3 and 4. Big win there. And then Fable 2 and 3, which I am planning to replay the first Fable and probably the second Fable this year if I have time. I put this on my list because Fable 1 came out on Xbox and PC, and I played it on PC when I was a kid. One of the few games I played through on PC as a kid. And then 2 and 3 were Xbox exclusive, so I couldn't. Well, I think just 2 was Xbox exclusive, and 3 brought it back to PC. But I couldn't play 2 because I didn't have an Xbox 360. So I just had to stop, and I really.
And those are on your list for this year, right?
Yes. So I
do it in preparation for the new one.
Exactly. Whenever that might be. I'm not in any rush because I know that game's not coming out soon. I definitely want to replay the first one this year, and the second one if I have time, and then maybe save the third one for next year. So we'll see. But yeah, huge fan of the Fable franchise. It was sad getting locked out of the sequel to one of my favorite games growing up. So I'm glad to now have access to those games. All of them.
Yeah.
On Game Pass. Thank you, Game Pass.
All right. For me, Horizons 3 and 4. I have played 3 and loved it. Great game. And Forza Horizon 4, I'm just waiting on. Once they do the whole like end of life thing, I'll just buy it and buy all the DLC so I have it when it goes away. But yeah, love Forza Horizon 3, and whenever I get around to buying an Xbox, I will be playing 4/5 because those games are great. Blue Dragon, I have that on 360, the disc. Never got around to it. Also, it doesn't help that I don't have my 360 here, so it's like I can't. For the past 2.5 years, just not been possible to play it. not really high on my list either of games to play. Sunset Overdrive, just like Logan. Again, and Rare Replay is my last game on here. A lot of these, it's just whenever I decide to get back into Xbox is probably when I'll go back into them. You know, Rare Replay's got a bunch of stuff. Go and replay Viva Pinata. Go play the Banjo-Kazooie games. Conker's Bad Fur Day. There's a lot of stuff on there that
I want to play Bad Fur Day, yeah.
So, yeah, whenever I get back into Xbox is probably when I'll play a bunch of those. But I did at least one with Horizon 3 on PC.
Time to be an Xbox fan.
Yeah, except for me. Not a great time right now. Not a great time. All right, getting into another Ode To. Episode 48. This is from January 25th, 2019, so this is dropping back a little bit. We each picked a couple of series that we wanted to get into, so we can run through these pretty quick and see if we hopped into any of these series or if we still haven't played any of them at all. Zach, you got 3 games on here. What do you got? I think 2 of these did pretty well.
Yeah, exactly. Well, my first one I got up is Resident Evil. I think this is right on the heels of Resident Evil 2 Remake. I think this is just before we played it, or maybe while we were playing it. Me and Logan, we played it together. I was much more optimistic about playing other games in that franchise, but I only played the 2 Remake. I never ended up playing the 3 Remake because I heard it wasn't as good, but we did end up finishing 2 Remake. I played it 2 times through, and then we did the final boss. Absolutely loved it. I thought it was a great game. Fantastic remake overall. So I don't know if I would go back and maybe play 7, 8. I don't know if I'd play 3 Remake or any of the ones before that, but if I were to go back, people really liked 8. I might, so, and I think 7 leads directly
another thing
into
you
8,
could play it on your PS5.
Exactly. 7 VR. Just to scare myself a little bit.
God.
And then next up we have Fallout, which I have not played a Fallout game since this list's incarnation. I had played Fallout 4 at that point. That's the only Fallout I have played. I have been wanting to play New Vegas and 3 for a very long time. I own them on PS3, but now I've got them on Game Pass. I am planning to play New Vegas soon, very soon. I don't know. I don't really want to play 3 that much anymore. I kind of think I just wanted to play New Vegas, so I think I might just do that. And then Fallout 76 is just never going to happen. So
remember when you had that, you were going to buy that on launch?
I do, and that was one of the biggest
throwback
dodged bullets of my life. Oh, man. I really matrixed out of that one. Then Castlevania is the last one up on my list, which I count as a win because I've beaten 2.5. I have yet to finish 3, but I still want to go back and do that. I own pretty much all of them, which is like 3 collections worth. I got them all for very cheap, and now I own like over a dozen Castlevania games that I really want to play. And I did start Symphony of the Night. Did not get very far, but enjoyed what I did play of that. So definitely excited to play more of that series going forward. And here's hoping they make a new one Metroid Dread style.
See if they do. Konami.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Got the spiritual successors, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Logan, what do you got? How'd you do on your series you've been meaning to get into?
Not great. Not so
it's
great.
A long one.
Yeah. I'll go quick. Jack and Daxter already talked about.
I don't think you want to get into that.
No interest. I'm done. Nope. Persona, just too big of a time commitment.
There's rumors that 4 is coming to Switch and PS4. Holding out hope.
I've got Royal.
I would play
I've got
4.
Royal, so that's what I would play.
Yeah.
If I were going to play a Persona. Maybe someday. Xenoblade Chronicles. I played like first 2 hours of the first one. Kind of hate the combat. Not sure the series is for me. We'll probably give it another chance at some point. But right now, it's kind of shelved at the moment. Metroid, I'll count that as a win.
Yeah.
Beat Dread a week after it came out. Have played a good amount of I beat Zero Mission also before Dread came out. So beat a couple games. I played a little bit of a few others. So that one was good. Yakuza, I've still not finished a mainline Yakuza game. But at this point, Judgment was not yet out. And Judgment did come out, and I did beat that. So that's okay. It's not terrible. Judgment, right? Because Judgment was a 2019
game. Believe so.
It was. Yeah. So that's fine. Tomb Raider, not really. Kingdom Hearts, I played like 18 hours of the first one and just decided it's not a series for me. So I'm okay with that one's at too.
The Nightmare Before Christmas world, is that where you gave up?
Yes, I did. Yeah,
because you couldn't find the door they wanted you to go through or something like that.
I think it glitched. I legitimately think it glitched.
I also tried to help you find the door and I couldn't do it.
If Zach could find it, it can't be there.
Yeah,
the man's played
like
Kingdom
my Wind
Hearts.
Waker glitch.
For me,
so that's okay.
Yeah, you got a couple in there. Played a couple games. For me, I got 3 games on here. Katamari. I played the first one when they did that, the remake of it, and I still do want to go back and play some of the other ones, but I haven't gotten around to it. But I'll count that. Played the first one and really liked it. It's a fun little game. Resident Evil. I think I've turned around on that. I think that was around Resident Evil 2 remake hype, where it's like, oh my god, this game's incredible, and I think it's just not for me. I don't think I do horror. I don't think I enjoy horror games all that much, where I'd want to be putting in a bunch of time for it. Like, I can see that it's a great game. I just think it's not for me personally. Maybe in the future I'll give it a try, but at this point, not too much interest. And then Kingdom Hearts. God, I tried. And
you gave it a great
try. It beat me down.
College try.
Maybe I'll go back to Kingdom Hearts 2 because, people like that game a lot. And from what I played, it was miles better than Chain of Memories. But I think Chain of Memories just completely soured me on a lot of it. And then just knowing that the story is just a convoluted mess the entire way through and doesn't really get any better when you get to Kingdom Hearts 3.
You know that firsthand because you've played 3. You know it doesn't end satisfyingly. So.
No, the ending in that game is stupid. So, yeah. So I tried it and had some fun in there, had some not so fun times, but I tried. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. So I got at least one. So
count. Yeah, I'll count.
We'll count it.
I'll count some wins in there.
All right, I think we've got one more Ode To look back on before we get into a completely new list. Logan, you want to talk about our top PS4 games that we did a while back?
I do. Yeah. So we're gonna go a little rapid fire through our old lists because we've each created a new personal top 5. So PS4, big console for us. Probably the console we've talked about the most on this show. That and Switch certainly. And in July 7th, 2019, episode 70, we each gave our top 5 PS4 games. And then our last big milestone episode, this was just last January 22nd of 2021, we did this fun thing where we all created our individual top 10s and then compiled it into a group top 10 that represented Ode To Games' top 10 PS4 games. So we have our old top 5s, our more recent top 10s, and our group top 10. So let's just go rapid fire through all of those before we get into our newly episode 200 revised top 10s or top 5s. We have new top 5s. So Kev, why don't you rip through what was your old top 5 in 2019?
Yeah, so from 2019, number 5 was Ni no Kuni 2, 4 Nier Automata, 3 Horizon Zero Dawn, 2 Persona 5, and number 1 was Yakuza 0.
Ni no Kuni 2.
Yeah, what a shout out to that game.
Zach, how about you?
My top 5 in July 2019 was Bloodborne, God of War PS4, Tekken 7, Monster Hunter World, and Uncharted 4.
Weird list.
Nice. Nice. Top 2 look familiar. Mine, number 5, Detroit Become Human. Number 4, Astrobot Rescue Mission. Number 3 was Spider-Man. Number 2 was A Way Out. And number 1 was Dragon Quest XI. Our lists have changed significantly since 2019. We all played some stuff that had already been out at that point, and then it's just been a really strong period for PlayStation since then as well. So then I'll run through this was the compiled list on our big episode 150 that we declared the best 10 games on PS4. We said number 10 was The Witcher 3, number 9 was Persona 5, number 8, Final Fantasy VII Remake, number 7 was A Way Out, number 6 was Ghost of Tsushima, number 5 was Monster Hunter World, number 4, Yakuza 0, number 3, The Last of Us Part 2, number 2, Dragon Quest XI, and number 1 was Uncharted 4. We each had some honorable mentions here that went before this list in this big 150 episode. Kevin said Nier Judgment, and Horizon Zero Dawn. I said Spider-Man, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and Fall Guys. Zach said Astrobot, Dishonored 2, and God of War. So that was the list that we all came to a conclusion together. But Kev, what was your most recent individual top 10?
Yeah, so it has, the top ones are still pretty similar, but the bottom has changed pretty significantly.
Yeah.
Number 5, I put Judgment. Turned out to be one of my favorite stories in the entire Yakuza world. I don't know exactly what to call it, but a Yakuza studio game, RGG studio game, turned into one of my best stories. That I really enjoyed it a lot, and it kind of caught me by surprise. So I was struggling if I wanted to put Nier Automata there at number 5. I think it sits in at 6, but I put Judgment 5. Dragon Quest XI at number 4. Great game. Love it a lot. And I do want to play the Definitive Edition. I picked that up on PS4, but that's back in America, so I'll get back to that eventually. Give some more time before I hop back in for another playthrough and experience some of the new stuff. And then a lot of the same stuff. Number 3, Uncharted 4. Love that game. 2, Persona 5. Classic. Still need to play Persona 5 Royal. And number 1, it has not moved. Yakuza 0 at number 1. So, top of the list is pretty similar, but it changes significantly at the bottom.
Yeah. Zach, your new episode 200 top 5 PS4 games.
Yes, my new top 5, the tippity top, is very similar to how it used to be, but it does change at the bottom. Number 5 is Witcher 3. Back in 2019, I had not played Witcher 3. I played it in the beginning of 2020, and this is a game that I just fell headfirst into. I love the lore, the characters, the gameplay, all of it, and I still think about it all the time, especially with the show and all that stuff. Just fell in love with the world of The Witcher. Number 4, Dragon Quest XI. We've talked about this endlessly on this show. I have plans to play S.
Times?
Yeah, absolutely. I have plans to play S this year, maybe on Game Pass, probably on Game Pass because I don't own it anywhere else. So that'll be weird playing that on Xbox. Number 3, Shadow of the Colossus. I feel like the last time we did the list, we weren't including remakes, or else I feel like I would have put this on my list. But
you picked it over you picked Witcher over it because it was up to you what to put in that 10 slot. I remember, and you went with Witcher over this, but now you like it more than The Witcher.
Things have changed.
Yeah, Shadow of the Colossus remake. I definitely love. Well, I think I just really wanted Witcher on that top 10.
Yeah.
I feel like it needed some representation because it's definitely a top 10 game, and I think I might be a little biased on Shadow of the Colossus, but still very deserving. And then 2, Monster Hunter World, of course, 400 some odd hours in that game, and then number 1, my favorite game, Uncharted 4.
Classic. My
That's
number 5. At the time, this game was only 4 months old when we did this last time a year ago. Now it's had another year to take another 150 hours of my time. That's Fall Guys. I put Fall Guys at 5. I just adore that game. One of my favorite multiplayer games online. Never get tired. Always excited for new content. So yeah, that really shot up from where it was last time. Number 4, Dragon Quest XI. It's number 4 on all 3 of our lists.
Yeah, interesting.
Really bizarre. It is the definitive 4th best game, but that elevated it on our joint list to number 2 because it's one of 2 games that's on all of our lists. The other one is my number 3 and Kevin's number 3, Uncharted. I am just so excited to play this again in a week when it comes out on PS5. Just any excuse to jump into that incredible game. Number 2, I've settled that I like this Naughty Dog game more than the other. Last of Us Part 2. That game just stuck with me like games don't really do. Like, media doesn't really do. I thought about that game so much all the time. Our spoiler cast on it is one of my favorite episodes of Ode to Games. I still go listen to it if you haven't yet. But I just adore that game. And number 1, Monster Hunter World. The further we get from that game, the more I realize how good it is. The more we play Rise, the more I realize how perfect World is. It's just absolutely incredible. And I can't wait to see what the next generation of Monster Hunter, the next mainline game from this team brings. But that is my current favorite PS4 game. And the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. which I didn't play on PS4.
Technically a PS4
It's
game.
on there.
Yeah, and like Stardew Valley's on PS4. Kevin doesn't play it there.
No.
Yeah, some stuff you just don't think about.
If you don't associate it with that platform, you're probably not going to put it on there. So
Sonic Forces, it's on PS4.
Would have been number one, but you played it on Switch that one time we were in the car. And beat it in 2 hours.
That's so embarrassing. Okay. Kev, take us home with our top 10 games.
Yeah, here we go.
Third
This
iteration.
is the big one. Yeah, we've done this a couple of times. 200 seemed to be the right time to do it again. The first time we did it was episodes 3 and 4. We split it up because he didn't want it to be as long as this episode's turned into. It's quite long. So
now we don't care anymore.
Episode 3 on February 23rd, 2018, we did top 10 games from number 10 to number 6. And then the next show after, episode 4 on March 2nd, we did numbers 5 to number 1. So for this, we'll just run through that very old list. Logan, you want to start us off? Just run through from your honorable mention 10 to 1.
Yes, my honorable mention was Guitar Hero 3, which I still love. I recently did my top 25 of all time. I know we're only doing 10 on the show, but I was happy to see that all games but one that were in my top 10 4 years ago are still in today. So in my top 25. So some have moved around, but basically it's pretty consistent. Guitar Hero 3 was my honorable. Kid Icarus Uprising was my number 10. Halo Reach was my 9. Golf Story was my 8. Sonic Generations, my 7. I put Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Blue Rescue Team at the 6.
Whoa. Spicy.
Played the remake. Did really love the remake. But this is the one that has fallen out. That is no longer in my top 25 anymore, even. And then 5 to 1. Number 5 is The Last of Us, replaced by Part 2. Spirit of Justice, replaced by a different Ace Attorney. Ocarina of Time. Number 2 is Smash Wii U, replaced by a different Smash Brothers. And my number 1 at this time was Earthbound. So there's some big changes from this list to the second time we did it to now.
Big moves. Zach, you want to go through your earliest iteration of the top 10 games from way back in 2018?
This is unrecognizable.
There are some legendary picks on here.
I'm indecisive.
Oh my god.
All right, anyways. Yeah, all right. Back in, what was it, 2018? Holy crap.
Yeah, a long time ago.
My honorable mention was Ape Escape 2, which is still in my top 25. I also recently made my top 25, so I can pinpoint what exactly is still in my good graces. Number 10, Pokemon Fire Red.
It's
a good game, though. I mean,
it is a good game.
I have decided that Pokemon Platinum I do enjoy more than Fire Red. Pokemon Platinum is still in my top 25, but Pokemon, like Logan, has fallen out of my top 10. Number 9, Jak and Daxter 1. Great game. I don't think it made my top 25. Number 8, Sly Cooper 3. My favorite Sly Cooper. Don't think it made the top 25.
The next one is wait. Oh no, it's not.
No.
That's next time.
We'll get to that.
That's next time.
But
Okay.
that's good reason.
Number 7.
Number 7, Kingdom Hearts 2. Kingdom Hearts 2 is definitively my favorite Kingdom Hearts. It's still in the top 25. That game is great. Number 6, Tekken 4. Also in my top 25, but also fell out of my top 10. It's my favorite Tekken. It's not the best Tekken. Tekken 7 is probably the best Tekken. But I just had so much time and love put into Tekken 4, and I just always loved the vibe of it. So I'm glad that one's still in my top 25. Are we going all the way to number 1?
Yeah.
5 to 1.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, we divided this up. Number 5, The Walking Dead. Which is still in my... It's hanging in there. It used to be higher. It is now lower. Number 4, Dishonored 1. At that point, I hadn't put as much love into Dishonored 2, which I have now. I've played Dishonored 2 a few times through, and I like that one a little bit more. Number 3, Last of Us. Number 2, Uncharted 4. And number 1, Shadow of the Colossus. So some consistent titles. Yeah, consistent titles. A little bit jumbled, but yeah. Definitely fell off at the end of that list. So we will see where that goes.
Well, you have played.
I've played
so many games since then.
Over 100 games since then, probably. Yeah.
A lot going on. Yeah. All right, my top 10 from about 4 years ago. My honorable mention: MLB Power Pros 2008. Still one of my favorite sports games of all time.
Game's awesome.
I still think that is a fantastic game with just the amount of content it has. Number 10, Little King Story. Number 9, Burnout 3. Number 8, Saints Row 2. Number 7, Ni no Kuni. 6, Stardew Valley. 5, Pokemon Soul Silver. 4, Viva Pinata. 3, Persona 5. 2, Uncharted 4, and 1, Yakuza 0. So some ones that I still would put in top 10s or top 25s.
I'm questioning if I like Soul Silver more than Platinum.
Yeah.
Soul Silver's great.
But yeah, I think that was a pretty solid list. So let's move to about 50 episodes later. On episode 50,
Whoa, Kevin!
Oh, what?
I'm looking at your number 3. Big moves. On this 50
on number 50
list. Yeah.
Oh, it moved up and then it moved again. It
doesn't be like that.
I still love that game, but I changed things up. So this was on February 8th, 2019, about a year later. On episode 50, we did the top 10 games of all time. I'll throw it to Zach first. You want to run through your top 10 games from a year later?
So we had a few honorable mentions.
Right.
Red Dead Redemption 1. I think this was shortly after I played it. Love that game. Catherine, which is probably just out of my top 10 at that point. Also very much love that game. And then Jack and Daxter, which was originally in my top 10, got pushed out. And then my list starting at number 10, Sly Cooper 3. Looks like it got pushed down a little bit. Number 9, A Way Out. Number 8, Yakuza 0. Number 7, Spider-Man PS4. Number 6, Kingdom Hearts 3. Okay. Let me explain myself.
There's no way.
This was a month after Kingdom Hearts 3 came out.
Yeah.
And Kingdom Hearts 3, I have said this on the show before, is that games that I play that have lackluster stories and really great gameplay, I love them in the moment, and then over time I like them less and less because the gameplay I start to forget about, and the story is the only thing that sticks in my mind. So in my head, they degrade over time. Same thing happened with like games like Days Gone. Like it was fun to play in the moment, but now that game's a joke.
I mean, it was a joke before too.
I mean, it was a joke before.
But
I mean, it's not a fun time playing it.
I mean, I feel that with Kingdom Hearts 3 a lot. Where when I was playing it, I had a good time. I thought the worlds were really
structurally a very good game,
and it was
it's fun to play.
But
it looks good. But that's
just not memorable.
It's not memorable. The worlds are... I don't like the worlds. I don't like the story, the dialogue, any of that. It just didn't stick as much. And I have landed on definitively Kingdom Hearts 2 being the best Kingdom Hearts. I don't think it's close. And Kingdom Hearts 2 is still in my top 25. But that is my justification for Kingdom Hearts 3 being on my list 1 month after it had released.
You guys are going to think I'm joking. I never would have sniffed my top 100 games. But I totally feel what you mean. Sonic Forces got worse and worse in my brain over time. I played it. I wanted to like it so, and then the further I get away from it, it's just like, ugh, it's gross.
Yeah, that happens with certain games. Yeah,
it
just gets grosser and grosser the more time has passed since you last played it.
Yeah.
And then
anyways,
number 5.
Your top 5, Zach.
Yep. Right, yep. Number 5, Dishonored 1. This was just shy of me falling in love with Dishonored 2. Number 4, Dragon Quest XI. Number 3, Last of Us. Number 2, Uncharted 4. And number 1, Shadow of the Colossus.
Top
so
three
not much change. Not much change in the top 3 there.
All right, Logan.
Yeah. So I had some honorable mentions. Golf Story fell out of the top 10 here. Pokemon Sapphire, I decided I liked more than Rescue Team, I guess. A Way Out, honorable mention. Halo Reach fell out. Super Mario Odyssey, honorable mention. And Captain Toad, I gave the honorable mention. Then my top 10, Kid Icarus Uprising, stayed where it was. The Last of Us, which fell a couple spots. Uncharted 4, which rose a couple spots. Was it on my list last time?
It was.
Oh, it was not on my list.
Had you not gone through your experience of playing?
I had. I think at the time I decided I only wanted, because we were doing one per series, and I think at that time I decided only one between Last of Us and Uncharted.
Interesting.
But then this time around I changed my mind. Number 7 was Celeste. That was a new addition. Number 6, the second of three different Ace Attorney games on these.
Yeah.
Ace Attorney Investigations 2. Number 5, Sonic Generations, which is pretty on it. Number 4, Dragon Quest 11, same spot as Zach. Yep. It's just destined to be number 4, every list it's on. Number 3, Ocarina of Time. Number 2, Earthbound. And number 1, Smash Ultimate, which was only a few months old. Immediately took the number 1 spot like the day it came out.
Yep.
Yeah. And
Kingdom Hearts 3.
It's in my top.
As soon as it
might be in
out.
my top 25.
Yeah. So that's my top. Yeah, but some change, but pretty consistent.
Just some weird Pokemon happenings.
Yeah. I was still in denial that I don't give a crap about that franchise anymore. But now I know I don't.
I'm still in denial.
All right, my top 10s, honorable mentions, Dragon Quest 11, Horizon Zero Dawn, Yakuza Kiwami 2. I think that was on there also because I had Yakuza on this list as well, so I didn't want to put 2 in there. And Ni no Kuni was an honorable mention. 10, Saints Row 2. Saints Row 2 was on the list at some point, I think. 8. So bumped out.
I have your list up.
Pokemon Soul Silver was at 9.
That dropped 4 slots.
Dropped, okay. 8, Uncharted 4.
Dropped 6 spots.
Dropped 6, okay.
Who's your number 2?
Wow. 7, Viva Pinata.
Dropped 3 spots.
6, Mario Odyssey.
New to the list.
Oh, okay. Was that?
New to the list.
Okay. Brand new. Number 5, Burnout 3. That was
number 9. That rose 4 spots.
Okay, that came up. 4 was Persona 5.
Dropped 1 spot.
Dropped. The big move. MLB Power Pros 2008 at number 3.
Let's go.
I think I put it that I still love the game. I still do. But I think I put it on there just because I remembered how many hours I put into that game as a kid. And it was like, that was almost like my world for like 2 or 3 years of just playing that game. So it was like, it had to be on there. And I just felt like it had such a big impact that it should be really high on the list. Still love that game. Number 2, Stardew Valley. That rose from what, 6? 4 spots?
Yes. It was 6. Yeah.
And then number 1, Yakuza 0.
Unchanged.
That stayed the same. But will it stay the same for our new list? So that was, we had 2 lists, 2018 and 2019. And now in 2022, a couple of years later, we're doing it again for episode 200. Our new definitive top 10 games of all time. Let's see what's changed over the last 3 or 4 years of doing this show.
So much.
Logan.
So much has changed.
You want to go through your new top 10 games of all time?
Yes. I'll go 10 to 1. Usually this can take like a whole show to do our top 10, but we've talked about these games so much. I feel like we can just rip through.
Let's just see what's moved around.
I've got my most recent one? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Number 10, Sonic Generations.
Sonic Generations dropped. It was at 5.
Yeah, I have to have a Sonic game in the top 10. I recently revisited this one, and gosh, it's just so good.
That's with the FPS boost?
11 years later. Yeah, on Xbox Series S. Looks incredible. Yeah, definitely deserved. Number 9, Super Monkey Ball 2.
That was not anywhere on here.
Yeah, last time we did this... What year was the last time we did this?
2019, the start, February 2019.
I was just entering the Monkey Ball 2 obsession a few months ago, so I don't think I yet realized how much I loved that game, but you guys know I'm a Monkey Ball master now. Master mode certified.
Official. Yep.
Yeah, and Monkey Ball 2 it's just one of the greatest controlling games of all time. So incredible. Number 8, Dragon Quest 11.
Dropped from 4.
Yeah, I really love this game. I think it could boost with a replay. It's just not as fresh in my mind as some of these other games. So I feel like if I played it again, it could go up. But yeah, really love that game. Earlier on the show, we were talking about a game you know nothing about that then just blows you away. And that was this for me. Just going in knowing nothing about this or the game and just having the best time. Number 7, Super Mario Odyssey.
Super Mario Odyssey. Where that was a honorable mention.
I have no idea why it took me so long to get this in the top 10, but it's incredible. Yeah, one of the most memorable weekends of gaming ever, especially single player. Just ripping through that game, starting it on Friday, beating it by Sunday. Just unforgettable stuff. and excited that Zach's finally playing it.
You gotta do it.
Yep. No, number 6, Uncharted 4.
Uncharted 4 moved up a couple spots from 8.
Yeah, just every time I play it, I like it more. And
where's it going to move in a couple of weeks? Is this going to be completely outdated?
Yeah. The top 5 are pretty untouchable.
Yeah, I would say so for you, yeah.
Yeah, there's not a big gap because Uncharted is very special to me, but yeah, I think the top 5 is impenetrable except by anything else from its own franchise, is basically how. Number 5, the third Ace Attorney game to make the list, The Great Ace Attorney 2.
Well, the last Ace Attorney game was at 6, so.
Okay, so this bumped up one spot for the series. Have to have an Ace Attorney game on there. Was always torn which one it was, and now it's clearer than ever. This is by far the definitive game.
That's somehow better.
I don't know.
It'd be crazy if they could do it.
It'd be amazing. But yeah, it was always like, I love the series as a whole, but there's not one game that sticks out in my mind, and now there is. The pinnacle of the series. Great Ace Attorney 2. Ode to Games 2021 Game of the Year, which is pretty awesome. Even though I have a 1/3 say in that. It's still pretty great. Number 4, Last of Us Part 2.
Okay, where? Oh, that was
where
9.
was Last of Us?
That was at number 9 on the last one, so it bumped up.
I do like the second one significantly. I just talked about it on the PS4, but I also just, the gameplay was a huge jump for me from the first one too. I just thought it felt so much better. That's another game I'll never forget, the first weekend playing it. Just ripping through it. I beat it days before you guys did. I did that entire week. And it was a blast. A very different sort of feeling than Super Mario Odyssey. Very
different game.
Yeah. The top 3. Number 3, Monster Hunter World.
Wow, that was not there.
Not there. Yeah, because we last did it 2 months before the 3 of us picked it back up.
2 months before that fateful day with the Metacritic score? Was that what it was? Or was that...
No. 2 months before we picked it back after the 3 of us set it down for a year.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
And then we picked it back up. You beat Zora Magdaros with us, and Zach and I never stopped. And here it is at number 3.
Yep.
And it's, besides the 2 most important series in my life, it's my favorite game ever. It's so good. And I get nostalgic for it. Zach, any excuse to reinstall it. He's the PS5 soon. We might install it back and play it again. We'll see. Number 2 is Ocarina of Time.
Bumping up from 3.
Yep, it has to be a Zelda game. Ocarina of Time is still the one. Although my bold prediction for the show is that Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 will be my new number 2 after I play it. I have that high expectations and hopes for it. But Breath of the Wild's great, but the lack of dungeons and some other key Zelda elements keeps it from being my number 1. And Ocarina of Time it's just timeless. Yeah. And number 1 is Ultimate. No change. No.
So
I don't
Earthbound.
think it'll ever leave.
Got
out of the top 10.
Yeah.
Still in the top 25.
It's my number 11.
Okay, so very close still.
It's my honorable mention. I kind of decided like Dragon Quest XI is my JRPG pick for my top 10. I like it more than Earthbound, so that was kind of my justification to knock it.
All right. Can still get.
But there it is.
All right. Great. Zach, you want to go through your list? New top 10.
I will. We'll rip through my list. Number 10, Halo 2 Anniversary Edition. This was a fairly recent addition to my top 10 list. So, sure, I think I've had a definitive top 10 for the last couple of years that wasn't the top 10 from our last show that we did it.
Yeah.
I have been referencing for a couple of years. So, Halo 2 was not on that. So, it was a recent addition. When I did play Year of Halo last year in 2021, I absolutely loved the franchise. It was fun to go back to the first 2 that I had already played as a kid. And Halo 2 is just my favorite with the remastered graphics, the remade cutscenes. I love the story, playing it twice, once just for fun, and then another time on Legendary, which was still a really good time, but absolutely brutal. Played it with a friend, just my favorite Halo experience. So glad that some Xbox representation made the list. Number 9, The Walking Dead Season 1, which I think has been consistent across these lists.
It was not on your most recent one.
No.
So it got booted
Nor an honorable
from that
mention.
first one.
Okay. Wow. Well, it
Yeah.
was on my list.
Yeah,
It
so
didn't
that
make
Walking
the
Dead
last
was
show.
5 on that first list and then
Okay.
vanished and
Yeah.
came back.
Totally gone.
Walking Dead
We did not get
deserves
an
to be
honorable
on
mention
this
either.
list. It's one of my favorite video game stories of all time. Choice-based game. It looks like it's my favorite choice-based game of all time, which is fun. Number 8, Yakuza 0, which I think has been
Same
consistent.
spot. Yeah.
Number 8.
Number 8.
It's just deserved. It's my favorite Yakuza game. Very close is Kiwami 2. Those are so good.
Great games.
And Like a Dragon, which I just really enjoyed.
Yeah,
I think-
really fun.
Yeah.
Liked it a lot.
I didn't realize you had Spider-Man at 7 last time. It's not even. That's not even your 12.
Not there.
It is not. But that game is fantastic. It's just been so
It is.
long. I think it needs a replay.
And that was
I
just
can
that
remember
last time was just like 3 months after it came out.
Exactly.
Recency
yeah, so
bias
lot
is
of
a
these-
thing.
Yeah,
As
yeah,
evident in
exactly.
Kingdom Hearts 3.
In 3 months, who knows if Halo 2 is
Yeah.
still going to be on this list? Who knows?
That's fair.
Number 7 is Witcher 3, which recently got bumped down for me. It used to be higher, but now it's number 7. I absolutely love The Witcher 3. I want to replay it when it comes to PS5. If it comes to
Whenever that
PS5.
is.
This year sometime.
Yeah,
we'll see.
maybe.
Number 6, Dragon Quest 11.
So that dropped 2 spots from 4.
Feels bad, but it is my favorite JRPG of all time. Unless you, I guess Monster Hunter World is a JRPG.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not.
It's something
Right.
else. I don't know what
Number 5, Dishonored 2.
takes the spot of Dishonored at the same spot.
Does take. Yep. So Dishonored 1 was my favorite for a long time. When Dishonored 2 came out, I didn't like it as much. Never even finished it for a long time, and then at some point I was just like, what am I doing? Picked it back up, played it, and I have played it since then probably like 5 times and platinumed it, and I do think it's better graphically and technically and pretty much just overall from the first one. So glad that made the list. Number 4, Last of Us 1.
Drop from 3.
I think this is another situation where I was very torn between The Last of Us 1 and The Last of Us 2. Logan went with The Last of Us 2. I think I still like the first one a little bit more. I haven't played The Last of Us Part 2 since it came out. I am planning to replay it soon-ish. So after going back for a second playthrough, I might see it differently. I have played The Last of Us 1 near a half a dozen times. So we will, and I played it on grounded mode. So I'm really attached to these games that I play on very hard difficulties because it feels like
That's
a
fair.
real achievement. Yeah. And then number 3, Shadow of the Colossus.
That dropped
down
from number 1. Yeah.
Yes, it was also number 2 until last night when something dethroned its number 2 spot.
Man,
Number 2, Monster
it
Hunter
wasn't It
World.
Takes Two.
Oh. You believe
You
it?
just beat
That'd
it.
be
Number 1, Donkey Kong Country,
Oh.
Tropical.
Big
Freeze.
change.
recency bias is killer. Yeah.
Monster Hunter World, though, number 2.
Number 2. So listening back to us just absolutely gushing about Monster Hunter World for a long time
Like a
on this
year.
show. Exactly. It's just like, of course, that game needs to be number 2. It is just one of my favorite games. I don't know what could possibly overtake it other than the number 1 spot. It just seems like such a gap because of how much love and time I put into that game and how perfect it is. And then, of course, number 1, Uncharted 4.
Moving from 2.
Shortly after that list, Uncharted 4 took the Shadow of the Colossus spot as number 1 and then was number 1 for a long time, and it still is because that is just my favorite series of all time, and that's just the culmination and, in my mind, probably just the perfect game. I know I've talked about it a lot, but I've
Great
replayed that game a bunch of times, and I will never stop
About to
replaying
again.
it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
About to hit it again.
Yeah.
It's a good list. You've come a
Yeah,
long
I've
way
got your
since
list pulled up.
some of the older lists. I think this one's a lot more refined.
I like my top 25 a lot. Shout out to
Yeah.
Deathloop at number 11. That's a recent addition.
Whoa,
Ace,
really?
Ace Attorney at number 12.
Wow.
Also good. At 3, Trials and Tribulations.
All right.
Which has not been Logan's favorite ever, apparently.
It was originally. when I first played the first few.
Well, that checks out. Yeah.
I'll just say real quick, my number 12 is Fall Guys. Put that at 12.
Number 14 is Fall Guys.
Nice. All right, Kevin.
Let's do it.
I've got your list pulled up, your old one.
Number 10, I've got a new entry. I was talking about this game earlier, Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. Finally beat it.
Ranked.
It was in the backlog for so long. It was so nice to finally beat it, and just all of those memories, both from my childhood and more recently, just a couple of years ago, beating it for the first time. That game is so good. Just, I don't think we're going to get another Mario game like that. At least not the way that Mario is going right now, where it's just so completely different than any other Mario games, with the worlds and a more adult setting, you know, just like rogue port and just like having all these criminals just in the city and just super nasty, and all these worlds, and the wrestling area is one of my favorite areas in Mario. And I don't think we're going to get another one. And Paper Mario has really fallen off the wagon in more recent years, but The Thousand-Year Door is such a good game. The original one on 64 is great too, but I think The Thousand-Year Door is the better of the two. Number 9, Pokemon Soul Silver, my one Pokemon game on here.
Unchanged.
Consistent. Yep.
Stays at number 9. I do like Platinum a lot too, but I think Soul Silver is the best Pokemon game there is. Just, it is super refined. The fact that you have 2 regions, both Gen 1 and Gen 2, and just how big that was. I just remember, like, before, when those games were stuck on Game Boy Color, it was such a big deal when Generation 2 made the jump to Nintendo DS, and it really lived up. That game is still great. I'd go back and play it again. Good stuff. 8, Dragon Quest 11. Where was that on?
Honorable mention.
Honorable mention. It's moved into the top 10. Number 8.
Because we never stopped talking about how much we loved it.
Yeah, maybe it'll change again when I go do a replay in the future, but one of my favorite JRPGs. Not my favorite, because there's one that is higher than that later on in this list. Number 7, Uncharted 4. It's got to be on all of our lists.
Up 1 spot.
Okay. Number 6, Viva Pinata.
Up 1 spot. It was 7.
All right, moving up. Number 5, Burnout 3, Takedown.
Up 1 spot. It was... Oh, wait, no, it is number 5. It's still number...
Okay, that has...
Wait, it's number 5? Number 5?
Number 5 is Burnout 3.
Yeah, unchanged.
Number 4, this one's moved. Super Mario Odyssey.
Up 2 spots. I just realized why everything moved up a spot.
Is MLB Power Pros
it has dropped. Number 3 is Persona 5. MLB Power
up
Pros
1 spot.
got moved. I would put that at 11 or 12, along with Nier Automata, probably.
Okay.
I haven't decided definitively on that. So Persona 5 is at 3. 2 is Yakuza 0. That is dropped.
Up from number 1.
I have a new number 1. Stardew Valley.
Oh,
is
yeah.
anybody surprised?
Of course it is.
It feels right.
I've put in nearly 300 hours into that game, both on PC and on Switch. I think certain games where you can play them when they come out and periodically pick them back up, and it feels like you're playing a new game again, or having the same amount of fun that you had when you first played it. And Stardew Valley is that game for me. The game has been out since 2016, and I've consistently picked it back up over the years, and seemingly had an even more fun time each time I played it. And I think that's also due to the fact that all of the updates have come out to radically change how the game plays. But yeah, the fact that I can pick it back up so many times, put in over 300 hours, and still feel like there's a bunch of stuff that I can do and experience, it's deserving of the spot at number 1. Great game.
Congrats, a change. It's been Yakuza 0 for the first 199 episodes.
Yeah, until today.
And Zach, was Shadow of the Colossus number 1 until today, officially on Ode Games?
Well, on Ode Games, yes, but my definitive list that I had for a very long time.
It's been Uncharted for a
while.
while.
2. It's been Uncharted for a very long time.
So I want to ask you guys, do you think your number 1 will ever change?
It could. Yeah. I'm not saying that Stardew Valley couldn't get dethroned by something else. I think it'll be incredibly hard to top it, but I don't think Stardew Valley is this almighty thing that I will never think is my favorite game of all time.
I don't think mine will ever change. No. I think that unless there's a better Smash, which I do not think will ever happen, that's the only thing that could ever replace it. Like, not only is the game just so much fun to play, so much there, but just the journey of 4 years practically of character reveals and predictions and excitement and playing with friends, playing the story, doing all the single player content, running that league we mentioned from time to time where we simulate fights of all the computers. I played Smash for 560 hours on my Switch and probably 100 hours on other people's Switches. And yeah, it was just such a journey. I don't think it'll ever change, which I'm fine with. Oh, and amiibo hunting is a whole part of it too. That's all tied in to Smash itself. So I think mine will be that forever. Unless miraculously in 3 years we're idiots for not thinking there was ever going to be a better Smash game.
Well, yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Things could change. Zach, did you think yours was going to change ever?
I don't see there being any more mainline Uncharted's. So I think 4 might just be where it is for the rest of time, which is a crazy thought, but you never know.
No series could dethrone Uncharted?
Come on.
Monster Hunter?
Legends Arceus.
Monster Hunter. If there's a 6th generation game that's better than World, I won't say no.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Because yours is different from ours, and that yours is a very curated 10 to 15 hour experience, while mine and Kev's number 1 are infinite, endless, replayable games.
Number 2 is the infinite.
Yeah, exactly.
Game.
Yeah.
So
I could see it changing.
Whoa, that was a long one. Was that longer than our
awesome.
top 100 characters?
It was pretty close. I'll pull up how long that one was.
Yeah, I think we should be wrapping things up. Any final thoughts on 200 episodes of Ode to Games?
I love doing this show.
It's crazy.
It's a good time.
I don't think
Zach, any thoughts from the person that listened to all those old episodes and could hear all of our fumbles or whatever, all the mistakes we made?
I just want to apologize for the sound of my voice. I hate the sound of my own voice.
No,
so
man,
I can't imagine.
I asked if your voice changed at all.
Their own voice.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That sounded bad. Everyone hates the sound of their own voice.
All right.
Did you check and see if your voice had changed? I was wondering.
I like to think that it has. It seems a little bit different, but I could have just been imagining things. But you guys sound exactly the same.
Yeah, no different.
You guys have commentator voices.
Well, we've been doing that for a while.
We have passed episode 100.
What was episode
2 hours and 13, and right now we're at 2 hours 18.
Oh my god!
So 2:30 for episode 300. It's gonna be longer than most movies.
Now this show is awesome, but sometimes it's like I really wish that we could do this in the same room, which is hard. We're all in different places, but I'm glad we've still been able to do this show. But like the day we get together and play Sonic Frontiers together, it's gonna lead to one of the best episodes of the show you'll ever
sit down together and talk about it.
Yeah,
yeah,
and just talk about the mess that is Sonic Frontiers, probably.
Yeah,
yeah, it is kind of weird thinking back to those first couple episodes where it's like, I originally thought that us all being in the same room was a bigger part of it, but it really wasn't. We were here for the first 15 or so episodes, and then after that, besides like a couple here, besides like a couple, we had the Builders 2 and Team Sonic Racing. Besides those, it's been all remote since like episode 15 or 16.
There was that weird era Zach was gone. We didn't know if he was ever going to come back.
You were gone for a while. You were in
Korea?
Like...
I even did the show when I was in Korea.
Yeah, and then you came back and something happened. I don't remember what it was. Your PC...
We've all been to...
Oh yeah, I lost my PC.
That's right.
It broke, and I didn't buy a new one.
Yeah, we survived my 2 trips to Japan. That original one in 2018, and then one where I've been here since then.
We survived that 5-month period where we were literally working 24 hours around the clock, and Kev got up at 4 a.m. Zach took his lunch break, and I also should have been sleeping on my weird schedule, and we did this show. This show it's proven it will survive anything.
Yeah. I forgot that we had that time slot where, I was before the crack of dawn, and Zach was on his lunch break. And you were, I mean, you were always at a weird time because your work was at a weird time. Yeah.
Yep.
We've made it work. Yeah, we haven't really missed weeks too often. I feel like the only times we really missed it was more planned for like holidays or something like that. And if someone
we're gonna have to miss next week for a time reason, we ran too long this week. We'll see.
We'll see how it goes. All right, we've gone on long enough. About 2 hours 20. Let's wrap this thing up. That is gonna do it for us. Episode 200 of Ode To Games.
Go.
Here's to the next 200, 300. We'll keep going at this. Nothing can stop this.
Until Microsoft owns everything.
Yeah, they'll buy everything eventually.
Including us. They'll buy this show.
How many billions are we worth?
Not many yet.
We're priceless.
I would not sell us for $70 billion.
Really? Okay. We're here.
I would.
Make a new one with that 70 billion.
Show.
A really high production.
Yeah, with $70 billion.
Yep.
That'd be nice.
We could all just buy a mansion and move in together and just do this show and nothing else.
We could do that. We'd be set for life. But we're not doing that. So we're just going to keep on doing what we've been doing every single week. From the start of the 2018 to now, through all the 200 episodes. We're here on Thursdays or Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, other podcast streaming services that you may use. OdeToGames.com also has the audio version. YouTube has the video version at Ode To Games, so you can check that out there. We're on Twitter at Ode To Games. You can send an email to odegames@gmail.com. For Logan and Zach, I'm Kevin. Thank you so much if you've made it this far. Thank you so much for listening to episode 200 and its 2 hours and 20 minutes of glory. And we will catch you next week for episode 201.